Ciao, bene. Benvenuto Autodromo Nazionale Monza. And that is about the best that you will ever hear me speaking another language. A very good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Autodromo Nazionale Monza here in Italy. It's round number 4 of season 2 at the Sprint Cup. David Christie here with Luke Rogers. And Luke, I'm going to need to take a seat, my friend, because that's me peaked for the night.
That's all your energy out in one sentence of Italian. Yeah, out the way. Now, I guess I'll have to bring that hype for the rest of this.
You sound so excited, my friend, and you should be, because we are at the tail end of an amazing, amazing season here for the Sprint Cup. We've done Brands Hatch, we've done Misano, we've done Barcelona, and you could say we're saving the best to last. Monza and Kyalami this month. It's been an incredible season, but it's only just getting started.
And you know me, I like to be very open when I dislike a track. And I also like to be open when I like a track. And the last two of this series, Monza and Kyalami, are some of the best tracks for GT3 racing on the planet. So I'm really excited to see what we've got. And we've got a great championship on the way. We've got a 5-point battle between the two Coach Dave cars at the top. I think it's going to be a really good last two races.
It certainly is. So the standings at the moment, Coach Dave Academy, the 888 car, it's the top of the championship there. You can see on 1, 2, 5 points. That's, of course, Alaric Kinsland and Gregor Schill. You've then got the Coach Dave Academy 889 car on 120 points. That is Joe McCauley. That is just going to be in that one for tonight. And then in third place, it is the Jardier Community number 39 outfit. That's, of course, Jaroslav Honzig, aka Jardier, and Valentin Barrier. And then in fourth place, you can see there Sidemax Motorworks number 96. It's been a mixed season for them in the number 96 car. That is Tinko van der Velde and Lucas Kreuzer. And then in fifth place, it is the NSN Sprint Z team of the 214 outfit. And that is, of course, my guys, Phil Scotsman, John Munro and Ross McGregor. So they'll be hoping to make their way. And I don't think John and the team there can take the win, but I think they can possibly get themselves a podium in the championship here, Luke.
And you look at that table and you see the 6th and 7th teams are actually teams that have won races. So it's really, I think, all up in the air about what's going to happen for this top 5. Because yes, we have the two at the top that are, they have 2 podiums to their names each and that 6th place finish. But I mean, realistically, without those sort of bad performances in Misano, the Fordzilla teams really would have been right up there. So I think over these final 2 races, we're going to see a lot of upheaval in the championship, and I think maybe a bit of drama if there's any instance.
I think you're absolutely spot on. A very good evening to everyone in the YouTube chat, to Ira Cosman, to Coops, to Mad Mags, to Yankovic, and to everyone else that's watching tonight. Without further ado, and I'm going to let you take as much time as you want to on this, Luke, because I know how much you like this track, but it's time for our BMW track guide with Luke Rogers.
It's not something you see every day, a BMW hot lap, but this is one of these tracks that this car excels at. You've got those long straights, that stability from the long wheelbase. Coming down to the Red Filio chicane, braking around the 150 meter board, and you want to get all the way down to first gear here. You want to get really slow, but you have to be careful not to go too slow. It's really easy to underspeed through the corner, and you can lose tenths of time through here. Flat out on the gas, and obviously up to the Curva Grande. I'm sure everyone knows this track. Its history in pretty much every form of motorsports, but it's a flat out right-hander, even a GT3 car, and really you can run too wide around here. We'll see a lot of that during the race, where people set up passes into the second chicane here, the Della Loggia. Braking again just after this 150 meter board. You can use these curbs on both left hand and the right hand, but you have to be really careful not to get projected into that gravel on the outside, because that can really hamper your rundown to the first Lesmo. It's a right-hander here. You're going to stay in third gear, and it's a really awkward corner because the car just does not want to turn in, and if you drift out too wide you can invalidate your lap so easily. Basically the same corner here, but a little bit faster. Again, you can get wide, but you do not want to invalidate your lap by going all the way out on that curving. Third chicane coming up here into the Variante Ascari. You're braking around about the second bridge here. You'll see it just there above us. We're going to brake with it. We're going to use a lot of curb on this inside, and again a lot of curb all the way through the chicane. You want to be really careful though not to hit those corner cut curbs, because they can jump your car and they can make them really unstable. Again, you want to use that exit curb, but you don't want to get too wide and invalidate your lap. One more corner to go. There's not many corners on this lap, but it is a difficult one nonetheless. Braking around the 100 meter board here for the Parabolica. I'm going to stay in third gear here, get really tight, and then run wide on the exit here. Again, use some of that curb if you want, but you see here with the BMW is actually going to stay nice and tight. Shortest line to the finish here as you sort of cut over that white line, and there is a lap at one of the best tracks in motorsports.
You're not wrong there, Luke. Qualifying is underway, a 20-minute qualifying session, of course, but we have to have the obligatory highbrow GT3 conversation, Luke, here at Monza, and discuss Turn 1. It's a difficult one because obviously this track in the Cyclocross competition, we've all done public racing. We know the carnage and the straight up murder that Turn 1 can be. However, you and me have both called at least one race where everybody got through Turn 1 absolutely fine. So they've proved, especially this field, that it can be done.
I'm sure it was the Porsche Cup race we did together.
I think it was, yeah.
There was no incident to that turn, but as someone that drives this track quite a lot in various sims, the sim that should not be named, and ACC, I've been involved in a fair few Turn 1 incidents around here, and it is something you have to be aware of. But honestly, it's that second chicane as well that bunches you up, because all those people that survive the Rettifilio then get bunched up again in the Della Loggia. So I'm expecting it's going to be a fairly clean race purely because of the standard of competition. But it is a track that can really throw some drama in. I remember, back to that Porsche Cup race, our current second place driver in the championship, Joe McCauley, obviously came into the final round of the Porsche Cup in the lead and crashed out in the Ascari all of his own doing. So it's a track that can, I think, cause a lot of incidents. There's a lot of opportunity for those kind of incidents to happen. But with this standard of competition, I think we're going to have a nice clean race.
Yeah, and the competition comes into play in another fact as well, because we've seen, on a qualifying lap, maybe one corner might cost you 2 to 3 tenths of a second, but we've seen all the way through the season that 2 to 3 seconds, Luke, could be the difference between you being in the top 5 and you being in the top 20.
Yeah, well, I think it's something we always see where the top 20 are within about a second of each other, right? And then you see at the front, normally there's a driver that is a couple tenths ahead of everyone else, and then everyone else is packed. You have maybe 15 cars within 2 tenths of each other. So it's so important to get that perfect lap down. And if we're talking perfect lap, we've got really nice conditions today. It's not an optimal track, as you'll see in that top right. It's still on fast, but we had a similar condition practice server just now that was fast. It was 16 degrees, and they were setting low 47. So I think as the rubber builds up on the track here and we get it towards those optimal track conditions, we might be going into the 46s.
So let's have a look through the entry list just now, and one team that stands out to me, I think that will be potentially some very big dark horses, is the 132 team, the GTWR team of Andrea Benedetti and Thibaut Prost. 3rd place last time out, but they got caught up in everybody else's accidents for the first 2 rounds. I think if they can get a clean start and get their head down, they're potentially on for a podium tonight.
Well, GTWR has been a team that's done pretty well in I think every sim grid tournament there's been, every season we've had. I think even the World Cup, right? They were one of the top 3 teams. I can't remember exactly where they finished, but it's an esports team with a lot of pedigree. And as you said, those first 2 races, they weren't really able to show it because they were involved in incidents that, if I remember correctly, weren't really their fault. So they finally got that good showing last time out at Barcelona. They got that podium position, and I think we might see a bit of resurgence for them. It might be too late in terms of the overall championship, but they can at least put themselves in a good place in terms of their sort of performance on broadcast.
We'll have to see how that one pans out. So the cars just getting their first timed laps in just now. 15 minutes left to go on qualifying here for the Sprint Cup Season 2, round number 4. Of course, 2 races left to go in the season, as we previously mentioned. We've got tonight here at Monza, and then we head back in a fortnight's time to Kyalami for the season finale. Now, obviously, we had the track guide there, Luke, and Monza is one of those tracks where momentum is so important. Getting that exit from the first corner through Prima Variante, it really sets you up for the entire lap, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. And it's something that happens, I think, all through this lap, is that you have these extended sort of acceleration zones and areas of the track where corner exit is always crucial. You've got the first, second chicanes, you've got the second Lesmo. Even coming out of Ascari and Parabolica, it's so crucial to get that exit speed down. And one way you sometimes do that is you compromise your entry a little bit so that you get you get back on the throttle earlier for the exit. But with these slow speed chicanes, when you do that and you compromise it, you can lose a couple of tenths in the actual chicane just because of how slow your car is already going. So it's such a different challenge, such a difficult challenge on this track to get that perfect lapping, because it is so easy to just lose a couple of tenths. And sort of a couple of tenths, I think we're already into the 46s at the top.
That would be absolutely outrageous if it is so. We'll see that just in a couple of seconds. Very good evening to fellow SimGrid commentator Chaz Draycott. He is in the house tonight and positively brimming with excitement for what is going to be an awesome night of racing. But there you go, confirmation. I believe is that 2 of them. In fact, no, it's just the one, because Benedetti just outside 146 in the 147. Yeah. My maths is trying to work that one out. It's
99.2.
Yeah, just about. So Yiger Ogorodnikov currently on pole position. We have to say currently because still 12 and a half minutes left to go, Luke. It's going to change very quickly in the next couple of minutes, I think.
Yeah, and as I was saying, we started off on that fast track, so there wasn't quite that rubber down that you sort of need to put in your optimal lap times. We're still seeing some pretty good ones, but with that extra rubber down, you can see in the top right now we're sort of towards those optimal conditions. I'm expecting we're going to get even faster, and every driver is in a position, I think, in terms of the championship. If we look at sort of the top 10, all of those guys are capable on their day of getting into that pole position. So we should have a nice tight battle. And we see that traditional 20 cars in 1 second. Once again, it is happening. We've got actually 20 cars with 8 tenths, so it's pretty cool to see. The fastest BMW down on 19th, though. We saw that hot lap, and it is a car that really excels around here. I'm expecting them to go up the timing sheet by the end of this.
Yeah, just hearing Kreuzer is up by 2 tenths just now. Here comes Lucas Kreuzer round the Parabolica then. You were talking about that on the track guides, and I really struggled with that corner. It's only recently that I've realised that you have to go in early and just be patient with the throttle. But here comes Lucas Kreuzer, comes across. Wow, 2 tenths slower. Gets him about 6th place. Here's Martin Schumacher. This is the BMW that you were talking about. Let's see, 147.427. That puts him up into P14 right now. And this is always a difficult part during qualifying, isn't it, Luke? Because the times just change so very quickly.
Yeah, it is the as it was always said, the times are tumbling. They just continue to fall down as the drivers sort of extract that final bit of lap time. They extract that final bit of track grip, and Gregor Schill's one of those drivers that is doing it right now. He got a little bit wide out of the Ascari chicane, so I wonder if he might lose a bit of time there. But he's currently 6 tenths up, so he's close to provisional pole. One more corner here, and he might be taking off Igor here. A nice run through Parabolica. Doesn't get too wide. We saw on that hot lap that you actually want to stay quite tight in the GT3. It changes depending on the car you're in and depending on how much grip the car you have. But with the with the pace of a GT3, you want to stay tight, and staying tight worked here for Gregor Schill, who takes provisional pole by a tenth of a second.
Yeah, that is a very, very fast lap indeed. Puts himself 1/10 clear of Igor Ogorodnikov and Andrea Benedetti for the GTWR team. This is the Bentley of NSN Racing Z's Ross McGregor sharing the car with John Munro in that 2:14 tonight. And he's really, really struggling. That Bentley is one of my preferred cars here on the Settle Corsa Competition, and I normally drive it in a very smooth and a very slow manner, and Ross definitely is hanging that thing out to dry tonight.
I did an Imola endurance race in that thing recently, and as you say, it's a fairly stable car, so you have to think that they're right on the edge if their Bentley's getting that unstable. And we saw him, get a bit over the edge really, because he went too wide and invalidated in the first Lesmo. But one thing that's going to be really difficult for the rest of this, if you saw back when he was going through there on the second Lesmo, the braking markers have gone, because you usually use the 50-meter board roughly to sort of gauge your braking point, and it's not there. So all these drivers are now going to be dealing with not having their actual braking marker, and going to be doing it purely off sort of instinct and muscle memory. And that's going to be a real challenge. There we go, we see it here. Those braking markers have disappeared. So it's not going to be easy, and we're going to see a lot of cars do that, where they go too wide and invalidate their lap. I don't know exactly how far out you have to go. I can't remember where it is in ACC, whether you can... I think you can go all the way out on the curb and it still counts. But it's very easy to run too wide and invalidate your lap.
So with 8 3/4 minutes left to go in qualifying, Gregor Schill still on pole position, 1:46.809. Igor Ogorodnikov just 1/10 behind him, and then Andrea Benedetti almost 2/10 of a second behind him as well. I'm just trying to work out here. I think that's about maybe 15 cars that we've got within a second. In fact, no, make that now 24 cars. Antonov is green, and Antonov jumps up into third place then. That was 1:46.962, so again joining that sub 1:47 club, and this is now where we're going to see the real movers and shakers start to put in their time and start to try and make their mark. Do you think there's going to be anybody trying to save it until the last 5 minutes just to try and sneak in at the end?
It's a very risky strategy to stay until late. It's not something you really do in GT3 cars. It's something you see in, I think, normally in open formula. You see they'll try and go out as late as possible to get that perfect lap in. But really in a GT3, the tires don't wear down quickly with the way they're set up. The car change with the amount of fuel in isn't that meaningful. So really just getting out on track and putting in a lot of laps is usually the way forward. Because first off, if you can get a good lap in early, if you can get a good lap in with 5 minutes to go, then you can really push. And if you make a mistake, it's not the end of the world. We see identical lap times for first place now. So
that is absolutely absurd. Absolutely absurd, Luke.
By virtue of the fact that Schill did it first, he will get the pole if it stays the same. But I doubt it will. I think everyone's going to start improving now. We're seeing a lot of green times through the board here. So I expect we're going to see it get even tighter at the top.
So Benedetti is going to be somebody that you want to keep an eye on here, coming through parabolic in the 132 GTWR machine and the McLaren. He's going to be the first man that is our ones to watch right now who are on green laps just now. He goes up to third place. What a lap. 1:46.842. Here comes Kirill Antonov. Goes pole position, shortly dethroned immediately by Igor Ogorodnikov. 1:46.680. So it's Ogorodnikov, Antonov, Schill and Sarai. Benedetti. That is your top 5 right now. We said it was all going to change very quickly, and it changed within about 3 seconds of each other.
And the reason why that's happened is because Igor's got the perfect track position there. Usually on a track, you don't want to be too close to the driver in front of you, but as F1 fans will know, the tow around here is crucial to your lap times. We see he was right behind Antonov. I think it was within about half a second. So with the dirty air not affecting GT3s as much as it might an F1 car, it's something you can do around here. We can sit really tight, and if you're sat right behind a driver that's going to put himself on pole, that extra couple of tenths you're going to get from that slipstream is going to put you on pole. So it's really nice track position for Igor there as he takes provisional first, and it's going to be really hard to beat that without a slipstream.
The thing that they've got to watch as well is that it's a bit of a poison chalice taking that slipstream, because obviously it's free extra speed as Lucas Kreuzer goes across the line, but it also massively affects your braking markers, because you've got to brake that tiny little bit earlier because you've got that extra speed on. So a lot of these guys are going to have had practiced working in that slipstream. Now, many of these drivers are in all of the other events, so they're used to that effect. But just looking at Kirill Antonov here, he is very, very fast right now in the like and subscribe YouTube team at number 56. Goes quite wide at the Parabolica look. I think he's lost it into the pits, and that's a shame, because Kirill was looking very, very fast there. I think we've only got one in the top 5 that's still on track right now, and this is going to be like where they reset and give it that one final blast, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly that. They've set their, and it's not really a banker lap because they're ridiculously fast laps, but they've got fast times on the board now, and now it's where you can go out and try and extract that perfect lap. Find one more tenth on track, and if you can do that in the last 5 minutes, we see, if you just look at the board, 1/10. Let's say you're Gregor Schill right now. One of the tiny bit tenths will put you on pole from 5th place. If you go back to Desprez we've been watching here, a tenth of a second will move him up 4 positions. So it's so crucial to find that last tenth in these last few minutes.
We're just about to say it here, because Boris Desprez in the Billets team by TX3 289 Lamborghini comes round the final corner. He's looking very, very fast indeed. Could be up into the top 10. Let's see what he does. Cross the line. 6th place for Boris Desprez there. And Van der Kokelt, though, is the man to watch. He is lighting up all the timing screens purple in Sector 1. And I've got a funny, tingly feeling that Niels van der Kokelt could be on pace for a pole right now, Luke.
He's a driver that's not really had a championship to remember. He's a driver we expect to be towards the front, and he's just been nowhere in the championship from various incidents during races. So I think it's expected that he's going to be right up towards the front here, and by the signs, I think this is going to be a pretty good lap, but he lost a little bit of time in Parabolica. He didn't quite get his line right, and then we go 6th place, moving up, and you can just see how constricted it is. I expect before the end of it, we're going to have top 10 within 0.2 of a second, because it's going to be very hard, I think, to beat Igor's time, purely because of that draft that he had. But I think it's very easy to get close to it in clean air or behind a tow yourself.
Yeah, I think that's a spot on point there. Kreuzer is 3/10 to the good on this qualifying lap here, still 250. I think he's just binned it, going very, very wide there for the Sidemax Motorworks 96. Now, if you see Dan King in the 38 Ferrari still in the pits and wonder why they've not been back out, they're not allowed to leave the pits again because they use the return to garage functionality, which is banned during qualifying, and that means that their time in qualifying is done and dusted. So Lucas Kreuzer was still on a valid lap. He went very, very wide there. I think he's still to the good, and 2.5 tenths up right now. Look, this is looking very, very good indeed. 2 minutes 15 left to go in qualifying. He's round Parabolica for the second to last time. Comes Lucas Kreuzer for Sidemax Motorworks. This could be pole. Hold on to your seats, ladies and gentlemen. Lucas Kreuzer goes pole position, 146.662. 1/100th of a second ahead of Igor Ogorodnikov right now. Wow, this is getting nail biting right now.
I said that lap would be hard to beat in clean air, and that's exactly what Lucas Kreuzer just did. He obviously doesn't really want the slipstream, and I think that's something that GT3 I think does really well. Is that yes, that slipstream is good, and we saw it there really help Igor, but it sort of balances out nicely. I think in F1 sometimes it's either the tow is too strong or the tow is not strong enough, and then you lose too much time with dirty air. Whereas in GT3 with cars that are not that affected by the dirty air, it sort of balances out nicely on pretty much every track, and that's what we're seeing now. Such a close top 9 right now, and so the BMW in 10th, only 3/10 off pole. We're seeing a bit of improvement here from Kirill as well. So I think it's really the track conditions that are coming in. We said that it started on a fast track, and with this amount of cars on track over a 15-20 minute session, you're going to get a lot of rubber put down. And here we get another improved lap time. He goes pole, beats Lucas Kreuzer by 200th of a second, and he's going to have one more lap to go. So we have 50 seconds left in qualifying. Obviously, if you cross the line before 0 seconds, you can complete your lap. So we're going to see, I think, some people push for that last gasp lap now.
Well, here's the thing that catches my attention, Luke, is the fact that your championship leader, the 888 car of the Coach Dave Academy 488, is in the 888 car is in 6th place. The second place 889 car is even further down. Joe McCauley down in 15th position, and then you've got the number 39 Jardier Community car. They are even further down than that in 22nd place. So, I mean, this potentially massive championship consequences.
Yeah, I'm quite surprised that Joe's not necessarily found his pace yet, because this is a track that is good for the Lexus. It's a car that has a lot of straight line speed. It can sometimes struggle, I think, through the faster corners, parabolic and the Lesmos especially. It's not a great car through there, but it should be a pretty good car around here. So I think Joe maybe just hasn't quite found his pace yet. He's still got a lap left, so there is a potential that he could improve. And we know how good he is in races, but this has been his bogey track in the past. As I said before, he lost the championship at Porsche Cup here in a crash that was entirely his own doing. Maybe this is his bogey track.
Oh, I'm starting to get PTSD just thinking about that into turn one, getting hip checked. That was, I think that was, if I remember rightly, that was him under braking, and he just clipped into another car as well, didn't he?
Yeah, and then he had so he had that one that put him down to like 15th, and then after that he crashed out in I think it was Ascari, right?
It was on the exit of Ascari, yeah.
Yeah, so he had two separate incidents at this track, but he was fast. I mean, I think he qualified in the top 3 then, so I'm surprised that he's not doing the same today. Maybe that car's just not quite working to his tastes. He is still on a green lap here, I think. We're seeing other people improve as well, so it's still all to play for the pole. S is up about 3/10, and he's coming round to the line now. Will he get pole at his last lap? No, he won't. He comes 5th place, just misses out. Joe McCauley does improve as well, puts himself to 11th place with his final lap. He got just over 1/10 of a second there, and you can see how crucial that is. He's just outside the top 10, so he could be a bit unhappy with that, but when you look at the championship and you look where he is, if he can improve by a couple of positions, it's hardly the end of the world coming to Kyalami.
Certainly is the case. There you go. Qualifying then, ladies and gentlemen, is done and dusted for round 4 of season 2 here at the Sprint Cup, and it's Kirill Antonov on pole position alongside Lucas Kreuzer. Row 2 is Igor Ogorodnikov and Bruno Sarai. It's Zahir Essa and Andrea Benedetti on row 3. 7th and 8th is your championship leader Gregor Schill in the 888 Coach Dave Academy car, and then it's Niels van de Kokelt in the number 99. Row 5 is going to be Boris Desprez alongside Luca Tavernari, and then on row 6 is going to be Joe McCauley and Martin Schumacher. 13th and 14th is Cody Pride and Demian Pavlos, and then 15th and 16th is David Martinez and John Monroe. Jardier in the number 39, currently 3rd place in the championship, is down in 17th place alongside Team Fordzilla's Darren King, the number 38 machine. Robin Picadol is in 19th position alongside Nick Babin, and that is row 10. 21st is going to be, and again, apologies if I get any of these wrong, but Shelton Muscat is in 21st position. Florian Becker is in 22nd. Adrian Ziolowski in 23rd, and then Jan Beerman in 24th. It's Jack McIntyre, our guest for this weekend, this week even, in the number 22 McLaren in 25th place. Chris McDade in the BMW is in 26th. It's then down to 27th and Eric Neath in the 995 Lambo. Tim Truquet in the Ferrari in 28th place, and then in row 15 Diego Lima alongside Yannick Hamer, and then in row 16 James de Havilland, Reese Tattersall, and at the back of the grid is obviously not Dan King, because he has set a lap there. So that certainly what my timing screen's showing. We'll get that confirmed in just a second, but there we go. We've got qualifying out of the way, so we'll take a very short commercial break. We'll be right back. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back then to round number 4, our penultimate round of season 2 here of the Sprint Cup at the Sim Grid, proudly brought to you by Coach Dave Academy, your one-stop shop for professionally developed sim setups and you can go as fast as the pros. Head over to CoachDaveAcademy.com. Get yourself one of the setup packs if you race in the same car over lots of different tracks. Get one of the bundles. Great value, and you don't have to sit down and tweak your setups and wonder what camber does and the tyre pressures do. They've gone to all that effort for you from their professional sim drivers. Head over there, get yourself a bargain, and we can see you on the grid very shortly. And also a huge thank you to Thrustmaster as well, who I give them loads of plugs all the time because I'm a proper Thrustmaster fanboy, sitting there with my little T150 and quite happily plodding away. They obviously go all the way up to their pro line as well, and they can get some of their awesome stuff. Head over to thrustmaster.com, and again, we are very grateful for the continued support they show us here at the Sim Grid. David Christie here with Luke Rogers. And Luke, wow, that was a bit of a breathtaking qualifying session there.
Yeah, it's something you come to expect at Monza, that the field comes so close, because it's not a particularly complicated track, right? You've got some corners that are, the braking zone, I think, is important, but a lot of the track is about sort of getting your track position right. So when you have that nice tiny bit of slipstream, but you're not too close that you lose time from the dirty air, that's where you get a lot of your lap time here. So that's why you tend to see a really close qualifying here, because it's not that it's difficult to make mistakes here. It's very easy to make mistakes. But when you have this standard of competition, it's very easy for everyone to set very similar lap times. And that's exactly what we've seen. And I think it's going to continue during the race. We go back to the Porsche Cup, and we had such a tight race because no one could really pull away. Everyone sort of slips into that sort of pack. It's not necessarily one pack, it's normally two or three, but we get that really close racing that I think everyone's come to expect from this track, and especially when you throw GT3s in, which are great for side-by-side racing. I think this could be a pretty awesome race.
I think that is an absolute given. The Edgeman G on YouTube is asking, will there be T1 deaths here? I will get your call on that in just a second, Luke. But again, just to remind you how the championship is currently looking at the moment. Coach Dave Academy in the lead, the 888 Coach Dave Academy car. They are currently 7th place on qualifying right now. The 889 car of Joe McCauley in the Coach Dave Academy car, he is 11th place, and then the Jardier Community car, the 39 car, is down in 17th place. So right now, all of the chips are in second place. Tinko van der Velde with the Sidemax Motorworks 96 machine up there in second place. He could really set a cat amongst the pigeons in the championship tonight, Luke.
Yeah, no, one team that I think is looking to do pretty well is that 8 car. But obviously, if you go back to Barcelona, they had that side-by-side finish with the 889 Lexus that was pretty awesome to see. But they had 2 bad first races, and then came on strong and won a race. They're sitting 7th in the championship right now. But with those teams, the 888, the 889, even the 39 cars, as you said, has not had great qualifying. There's a real opportunity for cars like them, and even the 38 as well. Where are they on the grid?
The 38, 18th.
18, oh, that's a sticky one. But the 8 car, at least, is one of those cars that is sort of sitting on the edge of the top 10, but knows they have that pace to compete, put themselves in a good position in qualifying on a track where you can overtake. 90 minutes, anything can happen. I think they might be in for a championship contention come Kielami.
15 seconds left until we go on our formation lap, and we've got to talk about it then. The Edgeman G, as I said, brought it up. Are we going to see some new members inducted into the Shadow Realm tonight? Turn 1, is it going to claim some victims?
Well, surprisingly, in the SimGrid sort of races we've had here, it tends to be fairly well behaved in turn 1. I think it's a given that you're going to see a bit of rubbing, maybe some light love taps, but rubbing is racing after all. So I think we'll have a nice and well behaved lap 1. Maybe the odd car spun around, but it's very rare for it to be proper sort of death, as people like to put it, where a car gets so damaged that they're just out of contention. We might see a guy get spun around and lose some positions off that. Tends to happen on that left-hander in the first chicane rather than the right-hander, as it is such a tight little corner, and you usually have people going side by side to it. But I think we'll have a nice, well-behaved race today. I'm hoping we do, and I'm hoping we get some nice, clean racing between those top guys, because it is a track that usually delivers, and this is a grid that usually delivers. So I'm expecting it to.
Just to add on to that, the majority of these guys are seasoned veterans here at ACC. They've been round many of the circuits many times before. As disappointing as it is, I have to agree with you. I think we're going to see very little action at turn one, purely because a lot of these guys know the importance of tonight. They need to get that car home in one piece, so they're not going to. It's not like public racing where you kind of don't care and you just yeet it in turn one. They're going to be looking after the car. They're going to be looking, especially with it being a team event, you've got to hand that car to your teammate in the best possible position. Just while we've got a time to do that, as we're on our green flag lap, a very good evening to our production team behind the scenes here at the Sim Grid. So good evening to Mikey out from Simpler Race. He is the man that is responsible for making those very pretty and silky smooth looking pictures appear on your screen, and very occasionally, if you ask him nicely enough, he'll do that super cool side by side as a car's going straight past it and do that lovely looking camera. And also a very good evening to Michael Hamlet as well. He is our man behind the scenes that keeps us up to date with all the latest information while trying to distract us by cackling in our ear. So thank you very much as always to them behind the scenes. But Luke, yes, let's get this done, because they're on the run down to where are they on to just now? They're just on to the Ascari chicane just now, and then it'll be on the final straight towards the Parabolica. Any final thoughts right now?
That's always nice for us when we're the commentators and we've got Mike behind us on the camera. So I'm sat here, I'm leaning back in my chair, got my slippers on, got a cup of coffee, and he's all hands at deck, ready for the inevitable chaos of lap one. But yeah, it's going to be pretty awesome to just sit back, and with these cameras, we'll be able to see so much of the action. I think we're going to have a really good race because we've got drivers that need to go forward. That 39 car, 38 car as well, two cars that are sort of out of position. We've got a top 10 filled with championship contenders that will all want to be winning this race, coming in, so they can come into Kyalami with that championship sort of possibilities. There's so much to play for tonight. There's so much at stake. But when there's a lot at stake, you get nerves. You get people taking risks that sometimes don't play off. So we might see some drama.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, place your bets. The ball is spinning and we're about to find out what exactly is about to happen over the next 90 minutes. Keep it locked here on YouTube. If you like what you're seeing, drop us a like, drop us a subscription, and we will show you all of this awesome racing and then some. Lots more events to talk about coming up over the next couple of weeks, but for just now, our eyes are locked here at Parabolica because we have got 35 cars, 35 GT3 monsters ready to get going for 90 minutes of Monza. It's a pit stop endurance race, and here we go. The cars ready to go. Kirill Antonov and Lucas Kreuzer head out in towards the battlefield. Will we see deaths into turn one? I highly doubt it. But let's hope we get a clean, fair race for the championship. The green flag drops and away we go. And that is a poor start there on the inside there from Lucas Kreuzer. He's already under pressure from Igor Ogorodnikov and Bruno Sarai. In fact, they're already breaking down in towards Prima Variante. And away we go, just like that. And that is the number 8 of Bruno Sarai. You were saying to keep an eye out for him. Takes the escape road, joins back in, no harm, no foul, Luke.
But he has gained a position, so he's going to have to drop back here as we see him. I think he'll do here, go back to 4th place. But there's going to be some thoughts about that, I think, from the stewards. Did he gain some from that? Did he have to do that? I'm not sure. They were 3 wide there coming to the first corner, but as we sort of predicted, we've all got through. But there's an incident behind us. Someone has lost it in the braking zone. I'm not sure who that was, but it was a Mercedes, and I think it was one of our championship contenders, and it's caused the pile up. I just saw in the background. His car's all over the place. We've had a moment in the second chicane here as a couple of cars got together. It was smaller than I expected given where it happened, but the 155 down in 35th place now as a result.
Oh, and a change for the league. Igor Ogorodnikov dumps Kirill Antonov around the outside there. What a move there to take that lead from the Lamborghini there. We just caught it out the corner of our eye there. Great camera work to catch that one from Mikey out there. And Igor Ogorodnikov for the like and subscribe Team 2 560 Mercedes into the lead then, charging down this last straight towards the Parabolica for the first time of asking. 1 hour, 28 minutes of this. Oh my, this is going to be one heck of a race if this is anything to go by. Kirill Antonov is absolutely fizzing. You can tell from the body language of that car. He really, really wants to get that position back. It's going to be the run down then across the line, down to Prima Variante, and Kirill Antonov has got the toe right now. Surely he's going to dive to the outside. Oh, look at that. Yegorov Gorodnikov goes defensive very, very early. They're side by side down into the first corner then, and Yegorov Gorodnikov is going to try and outbrake him. But look at that. Antonov around the outside. Beautiful on the brakes there. And Gorodnikov giving him absolutely no room whatsoever. They're still side by side. We've got Kreuzer and Sarai side by side as well. Incredible respect from these drivers right now. They are within millimetres of each other, and this is nail-biting stuff. Gorodnikov on the inside is going to surely outbrake Antonov. Again, still side by side. How have they just done the second Variante? This is thrilling stuff. And look at that on the inside there. Bruno Sarai trying to have a little peek there as well, Luke.
They could not get off each other through there, but somehow we've made it through. And the 8 car joining in now has made their way up. They got past the 96 in the first chicane there. So it was a second side-by-side battle. But we've got this little pack at the front. Look how close everyone is within that top 8. It's such an awesome start to this race. And I think this is only a sign of things to come, as this slipstream battle is going to keep people close. And when you have that battle at the front, everyone else behind gets pulled up right in. That's what we're seeing with the 8 car. It's going to be sat right behind the 560. So I think this is a start of things to come, but what a battle. And it was a nicely well-behaved one, which was a little bit of a surprise. I thought we were going to see some incidents there as they were looking to push the other drivers off the track, but nothing quite happened. And then I think this is the incident that we saw in the background, the 155. I think actually lost it on their own. I'm not sure if they got on the grass.
Oh no, that's Cody Price that he's gone into then. If that's the black and yellow Merc that he absolutely nuked, if I remember rightly.
Yeah, I think he just lost it on his... Oh no, he got rammed by the BMW. What the hell?
Oh, naughty BMW.
And then he hits the Ferrari that spins him round and gets rammed by a couple cars. There's going to be a fair bit of damage through the field there. And that is a nightmare. And so unfortunate for the 155, as we saw, I think it was Schumacher going to the back of him. Oh, zero stories, those swapped drivers there. But yeah, it just looked like the BMW maybe was expecting to brake a little bit later than he did. Went into the back of him as a result and put the 155 out of contention. And that actually is a driver that, and a team that could have been in for a championship contention, because they were only down in 8th place. A 45-point gap from them to first, but a really good finish there would have put them in at least in for contention coming into the last race. So that's really sad for the 155. Where is he? Igor Rodnikov is down in 10th place. How did that happen? He's had an incident somewhere and his car is damaged. I hope you can see the extent of damage if we can flick to him sometime soon. Here we go. We're going to have a replay of the incident. Never mind. This is the replay of the overtake actually onto Antonov. So we're not going to see the incident here, but Igor's car is damaged and he's down in 10th place. So that is another championship contender having incidents, and a driver that perhaps was expecting a win here today and now maybe out of contention already.
Well, the first thing that kind of flagged that up to me is the fact that Joe McCauley and Niels van der Kelt were up in that top 7 group. Oh, he goes straight on.
That car's damaged. That is very damaged.
He's going to have to get that back to the pits very, very quickly and try and get that down as quickly as possible. But yeah, that is a horrible, horrible moment there for the 560. And I'm wondering if that's involving the 39 car, not that, because Yaroslav's much further down. I'm looking at my live time and same here.
It's got damage all over his car. You can see his front and rear damage. Yeah, his front and rear damage. So I'm sure he's gone into the wall somewhere. Is he going to try and survive until he can pit for one? Because obviously you need to have one pit stop here, and a second pit stop just puts you completely out of contention. So I don't know if Igor's... I don't know how he made that work. I thought he was going to hit the Lambo. He somehow gets through, sneaks through on Dan King. I was sort of expecting him to pit there, but I can understand it because you can only do about 70 minutes on fuel, as we can see the incident here. So I expect he's going to try and drive for 20-25 minutes. They come out, yeah, he's just jumped the curb. Has he got into the wall? Yeah. Entirely his own doing. He's going to have a lot of suspension damage on that rear left, that hefty hit there. And that is a corner that is brutal in these cars because you have to cut it to get lap time and to keep flat out. But if you hit that anti-cut curb too hard, you see it jumps the car and it spins them out. I said it was a threat in that hot lap, and now we see why. And that car is it's definitely worse for wear, and there's going to be a big repair job, I think, when he does come in. But I expect he's going to come in about 1 hour 10 left to go, so that he doesn't have to pit twice. And while he's going to lose time now, he's going to lose a lot more time if he has to pit twice.
Well, I think we need to get an F in chat for that one, because that could have been so different for Igor Ogorodnikov. Incredible pace to keep Kirill Antonov under pressure there. And I'll be honest, I don't know if Lucas Kreuzer has got the pace to make that happen, but we'll soon see. He's certainly not going to be the last tonight to do that. We saw that in the Porsche Cup happening very many times. There you go, Niels van de Kegel up inside. That's on Parabolica on Joe McCauley, showing him the exit, and that's going to be Zahir Essa that gets up the inside as well. So championship contender, second place in the championship. Joe McCauley has been absolutely brutalised there and sent to 8th place. So wow.
We see he's going to try and get back on the Lamborghini. He's going to make it work here, I think. He has to be careful. He doesn't come in too much. It's going to be okay. Yeah, we saw him when he was side by side there through Parabolica. He just turned in a bit too early with that car on his inside. I don't know if he was perhaps expecting the move to happen, but gets his move back that time. And I think he had another incident back in Parabolica. I think it was further down the grid. So in terms of championship implications, it's not quite as dramatic as Ogorodnikov, but still another incident. I said we were going to have a clean race. I think maybe that's not the case.
The 155 Mercedes of David Martinez into the pits just now. That is, of course, the race for Cat Motorsport. Blue is the first car into the pits, and again won't be the last given the amount of issues and contact that we've had. If you're just tuning in, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. You're only 9 minutes into a 1.5 hour race. Me and you are going to be absolutely dead by the end of this one, Luke.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty succinct way to put it. We're going to have I think a lot to watch, a lot to sift through as we go through this 90 minutes of Monza here in the Sprint Cup. And we've already seen that there's going to be drama, there's going to be overtakes, there's going to be 3-4 car battles throughout this race. And you can just see with those gaps, if you look on the left-hand side of the screen, how close everyone is until you have close. That was pretty close to the end of the race for that Ferrari as he got wide out of the Ascari. But all these guys are just going to be so close throughout the entire race. And here's that incident that we mentioned here, the parabolic one. It just turns in too early. The Ferrari just came in, maybe not quite expecting someone to overtake, and actually it was not quite as bad as you sometimes tend to see. Obviously, for F1 fans, it was that massive crash for Charles Leclerc this year. It can be a very dangerous corner. There's been big crashes in F1 history through there, and GT3 history as well. So I think that's about as good as a bad thing can be for that Ferrari.
Just to give the viewers an update as to the penalties that you see on your screen. 3 cars have got 10-second penalties. That's the 225, the 7 and the 889. That is, of course, the Rookie Monsters number 7. That is the Carbon Esports number 225 car. And then the Coach Dave Academy 889 car. That is all for driving without their teammates. So it's a two-player game, this. And you can obviously take part just yourself, but you will get a small time penalty added on to try and level out the field. So they were, I'm pretty sure, expecting that.
Yeah, it's something that Joe had at Barcelona as well, if I remember correctly. He drove solo, and his teammate's injured, so can't race. So Joe's doing the rest of the championship on his own, I believe, and he still came second. So it's not the end of the world for these drivers. 10 seconds is not massive. You're taking in the pit stops. I mean, yes, it's going to harm your overall race, but I think it's a fair way to deal with when you have this two-driver thing, especially for someone like Joe McCauley, whose teammate's injured. It's not like it's his fault, or it's not like he's just decided not to turn up anymore. It still gives him that opportunity to compete for the championship, which is exactly what he's doing. So I'm interested to see exactly how it works out for Joe across the season. It's a track, Monza is a track, as you said, has been a bit dramatic for him in the past, but I think these last 2 races should suit him, and the car he's in. The Lexus is quite nice at Kielami, especially if it rains, which is always a threat of that track. So he's still, I think, well in contention for the championship, even with those kind of penalties.
So we've got a crash at Lesmo 2. I'm just trying to see the cars that are involved in that. We've got a couple of cars spread out towards the back. You've got the 349, the 345, the 1 and the 52, all separated quite massively from the pack, so we'll see how they filter in. But at the top of the tables there, it's Kirill Antonov from Lucas Kreuzer. Now, I have to immediately take something back. I said about 5 minutes ago I didn't know if Lucas Kreuzer has got the pace to bring that gap under contention with Kirill Antonov. Well, he's certainly doing that, because that gap was 1.3, it's now 1.1, so very slowly Lucas Kreuzer catching up with that lead in. And more importantly, he's going to be within the sight of Kirill Antonov. There's that wonderful side-by-side camera view from Mike Yao Simply Race there. Yaroslav Honzig up the inside at Parabolica, I think that is, over the 214, and that is John Monroe. Oh, sorry, yeah, that was at the Lesmos. They're on the run down to Ascari just now.
And they had a little love tap here, and sometimes being on the outside for the Ascari is actually a nice thing here. So the 214 is in a good position, because you can really carry a lot of extra speed, as the 39 will have to jump the curb, but he goes a little bit too deep there, and Ajadi's able to keep the position, get through there safely. But that was a nice little battle there between the Bentley boys, as they're trying to salvage what they can. They're a little bit far back. The 39 car, obviously one of our championship contenders, stuck down in 13th place at the minute, but there's still time to go. They can still improve here. Talking of improving, Zahir has got past Joe here. He's got past that Lexus, so Joe's not really making that progress that we sort of expected him to make. He's come forward a couple of positions since the start of the race, but he's struggling to make any more progress.
So 1 hour 15 minutes left to go in this race, and the opening stages, the opening act of the race is very much underway right now. We'll see pit stops, I would imagine, in the next half hour or so. We've got a big gaggle of cars into the turn one, and that could have been so much worse for Stefan Zero in the Roll Racing 721 BMW, just colliding a little bit with, I think that's Jack Noller in the Bentley just behind him, and then you've got Babin in the 225 Porsche. Now, Stefan Zero, now hang on a second, because that is a 10-second penalty to Stefan Zero for aggressive driving. Now, that was before that incident, and I wonder if that's not exactly going to make his case any easier, Luke.
Yes, is that not with the? Yeah, that is the lap 1 incident. Yeah, so that is 10 seconds for the crash with the Mercedes we saw.
Yeah,
on lap 1. But yeah, he's putting himself in a position now where, one thing that I think has been consistent for this, for SimGrid is if you have one incident, you have another one. Then you tend to get a pretty big penalty. So he has to be very careful for the rest of this race that he doesn't get involved in more moments. But you tend to find out that, especially in this kind of level, where you make that one mistake, the drivers do not make another one. They take that caution that they realise they have to have after that first incident. But he needs to start going forward here. He's a driver that's been stuck looking backwards pretty much the whole race, and he's still having to do that as the 14 Bentley has a look up the inside and makes it stick. Can he get the nice run out of the corner? It can be sometimes nice going wide in the Parabolica, because you can carry more speed, and I think that's what we're going to see here as he temporarily loses his position here. But Zero's going to have that run down the straight with a car that's a little bit better on the straight line than that Bentley should be. Yeah, he's going to get it all back, so not the end of the world. He's going to be stuck in this battle, and one thing that happens when you have these battles is you lose the draft of the car in front. And as we said, toes is really important, and that's why the top 10 is so close, is because they're not really battling that much. They're sort of just sticking around. But when you get involved and stuck in a battle like this for multiple laps, you can now see that 1.5 second gap to the car in front. You're not getting a slipstream anymore, so it's going to be very hard to pull that gap back up.
That was a beautifully done, cheeky move there from Babin in the Porsche there, just sneaking up the inside on the entry to turn one. Nick Babin doing a grand job in that Porsche, so taking that position, that 17th position from Jack Noller in the GT Omega RPM Esports. Now, while we were watching that, there was a change for third place as well. Gregor Schill wrestling third place, that final podium spot from Bruno Sarai, but it is by no means over right now. This is a stunning battle, and also that gap between the leader and second place is now down to 0.8 of a second. So we've had a little pause for our breath, Luke, and it feels like things are now just ready, like a powder keg, to go off again.
Yeah, we had a bit of an earthquake at the start, and we're in the aftermath. I think one of the aftershocks is on the way, as we see, as you said, those gaps are starting to close, and we've seen now a battle as well for third place. It's just something that we're going to see, I think, through this whole race. Is as soon as you get within that second of a car that's around you on track, because everyone is of a very similar pace, once you get within that second and you get that slipstream, as long as neither driver makes any mistakes, it will just inevitably pull them closer and closer. That's exactly what we're seeing for third place here, as Bruno Sarai tries to get it back after he lost it earlier on, coming into turn one. He's not going to quite make it work here, but the 88 might be a little bit compromised coming out of the Red Filio here. But no, the gap's, I think, a bit too big. So for now, the 88 car holds on to third place.
So here we go then, and things are just bubbling over nicely. It's Kirill Antonov in the lead from Luca Kreuzer, Gregor Schill in third place, and then Bruno Sarai in fourth, with Andrea Benedetti in the McLaren in fifth place, Niels van der Kekkel in sixth, Zahir Essa in seventh place, Joe McCauley in the 889 machine, second place in the championship, down in eighth place, and then it's Cody Pride in ninth, with Vedi in the Lamborghini 289 in 10th position. So got to say a big shout out to Denise Pope, who was in the chat, saying that I want to give a shout out for the NSN Racing Z boys of John Munro and Ross McGregor. They're currently battling it out in P14 for the honour of leading Bentley, fighting off Yaroslav Honzik, who is leading them right now in the Jardier Community Team 39 car. And those cars, obviously I know they're exactly the same car, but setup makes such a difference, but they're so closely matched right now.
Yeah, and part of that is that tone that I'm talking about. You know, you when you're so closely matched in pace, and especially when you're in the same car, and there's not really a section of the track where you can pull a big gap on someone, you just tend to get stuck together. And whilst that can be fun, you know, while you get this battle, they are starting to drop back, and you know, it's 1.5 seconds to Igor, another 2.5 to 11th place. You know, the more they battle, the further back they can afford, and that's when sometimes you have to decide as one of these drivers. You know, do I just fall in line for a little bit? Let's see if we can work together and push forward. You know, if Jardy is improving, it might be you know, John Monro's sort of, in terms of strategy, it might be optimal if he just sort of sits here, you know, sits behind him and lets him pull back up to Igor, and then go on the attack later on.
Just having a look at the lap times from Igor Ogorodnikov. I mean, he is really struggling right now. He is putting in consistent 148s over the last couple of laps here. In fact, I'll go and bring up his lap times just now. Yeah, 149, 148, 149, 149. He's really limping that car around the track, and how he's not lost more positions right now. He's on pace to be down in sort of P13, 14 right now.
Yeah, I expect you just sort of see them change around. You know, I was saying about how you get those battles. I mean, you just look at the delta on that left, how close everyone is after 20 minutes. Usually you see a bit of you see a point in the race space where everyone spreads out. Right? It's something that tends to happen in racing, where everyone sort of gets into the position they're supposed to be in, and then it calms down a bit until you have those mistakes which push people out of position. But it's just not happening right now. You just see all the way through the field. You have these 3-4-5 car groups that are just constantly, not necessarily fighting, but getting close enough that you know, you have to defend, and you have to be very careful about where you drive. And now we're going to see, I think, one of the Porsches making a move here. Is he going to be able to get upside? He should be able to outbrake the BMW, but he's not going to make it work. Or is he? He's going to go for it, but no, he doesn't quite get to the inside now, and he compromises his run for the rest of the Ascari chicane. The second Porsche, the 911 behind, might be able to get a run, but he also has a bad Ascari. Oh. There was an opportunity there for 911 to make a move, but now the 24 is right on his back. As we head up to P3, we've got another battle between the 888 and the 8, and Bruno again decides not to take the chicane. Does give the position back, but that's the second time he's done that now, and you have to wonder, did he really need to do that?
Yeah, that's a bit of a difficult one, because race control, the patience is going to run out very quickly. That is the beautiful car. I really do love the livery on that car. It looks so special on the MSR Liga Endurance Team 911 Porsche of Robin Pagano. They're weaving sideways one way to the other. Nick Babin fires it up the inside of McDade in the BMW, and somehow, out of absolutely nowhere, Nick Babin just takes that position, and the BMW is left absolutely helpless, because look at that, Robin Pagano. And ladies and gentlemen, this is a battle for 24th, 25th and 26th place. Everyone is fighting like it's the last lap for the lead right now. Like, this is, I mean, they don't know the meaning of preservation.
And the great thing for the 225 Porsche is that Aston Martin that was in front made a small mistake coming to the chicane. So it really closed that gap up. So now he also has the slipstream, so it's much easier for him to defend. And we know that the Porsche, it's not a great car in a straight line, so having that slipstream can be really vital. So in terms of being able to defend against the BMW that is just passed, I think that's going to be crucial now. And he might be able to pull a bit of a gap because we know he's faster. If he can get that gap, can break the slipstream, then he can start to look forward.
So at the Parabolica, just to bring you up to date, Zahir Essa makes the move on Niels van de Kekelt there. Now, we need to cut to the leader because what has happened, Kreuser's taken the lead from Kirill Antonov. That is an absolute stunner. I saw them coming together on the run-up to the Parabolica, but Lucas Kreuser is in the lead from Kirill Antonov. Well, we'll have to see how that goes, but that's a monumental turn.
And in terms of the championship, that's fourth place in the championship, now leading the race. The 888 obviously is the championship leader, and it's a 19-point gap at the minute, so that's going to start to close up. Coming to Kyalami, that's going to start to move away from a gap that is worth sort of 6-7 positions to a gap that might only be worth sort of first to third in Kyalami. So they're really putting themselves, if they can hold on to first, putting themselves in a position where they might actually be able to fight for the championship. And we see they're starting to pull a gap. Antonov's not quite able to hold right onto the back. There we go. There's the live championship table. As you see, the Sidemax Motorsports 96 goes from a 19-point gap to a 15-point gap as things stand. And that was with him in second. So it should update it. I think it's, 5 points in this? I can't remember the exact points. Yeah, 5 points. So it's only going to be an 11-point gap, which will be worth first to fourth. If things stay the same, then if the 96 car can win in Kyalami as well, and the 888 car finishes fourth or below, then there's an opportunity for them to win the championship.
There you go, there's an update there. Instant between cars 14 and 225 on lap 8. It's a 15-second penalty for car 225 for avoidable contact. That is, of course, the Carbon Esports 225 of Nick Babin, who we were just complimenting there. Bruno Serrano jinks one way, then the other. Going to go round the outside down the run towards turn 1. We'll touch back upon those championship points in just a second, but Gregor Schill holds off onto that position and lives to tell the tale another day. There you go, there's the updated points then. 10 points the difference, and I'll tell you what, if that stays the way it is right now, what a final round we're going to have at Kyalami.
And I expect it's going to get tighter as well, because we saw Jardy is making progress through the field after a poor qualifying. If they can make 4 or 5 positions more, there might be a big outsider coming into the championship, but they at least make it so that they're capable of winning with a really good performance at Kyalami. And the Bentley is a good car there. It's quite a nice car to drive around that track. So I'm expecting we're going to have a 3, if not a 4 car battle as things stand coming into the last race.
25 minutes have gone here in round number 4 of season 2 of the Sprint Cup here at SimGrid. This is a replay then of what happened for the lead. Oh no, tell me it's not on the exit of Ascari, where we see all of those cars. It is, and he's just went straight on, struggles to get rejoined there, and wow. Very, very lucky. Look, that could have been much, much worse, and he's only lost about maybe half a second to 0.8 of a second out of that.
Yeah, we've already seen several times through this race now that people are having big issues in that corner. It is a very difficult corner in these cars because it's right on the edge of not being flat out. But if you don't go flat out, you lose so much time. So you have to sort of just stay planted and hope the car sticks. And we've already seen for Igor Ogorodnikov and Antonov now that sometimes it doesn't stick. Sometimes you have those moments. And luckily for Antonov, he didn't put it in the wall. So it didn't end his race and end his hopes at a championship. But it certainly made it harder.
This is the battle for 8th and 9th place. Cody Pride did have the position from Joe McCauley, makes it work into turn 1. This is the battle for 22nd, 23rd. Nick Babin on the inside trying to defend from Jan Bierman, and McDade has been just left for dead right now. The car has absolutely zero pace right now. Chris McDade in the BMW down in 26th position, but this is going to be almost side by side between Andre Felix and Nick Babin. And does that Ferrari fancy having a shot as well? Jan Bierman, but look at that, Nick Babin has moved on into turn 1. and there's absolutely no response there from Andre Felix there. So Nick Babin moves up into 24th position. Next target is going to be, I think that's Jan Kaminski in the 999 Porsche.
Well, here's a question for either you or Michael in our ear, because I've forgotten. Do we have the pit window in this? We do, right? It's a 10-minute pit window. So that's why Igor's not pit. No, I said initially that he might come in around 7. Yeah. Because he might come in a little bit earlier just to get that out of the way. But he can't actually do that. So he has to get to 50 minutes left before he can pit. And I expect he'll pit straight away and get that damage fixed. But actually, he's going pretty well so far, down in 12th place. I don't think he's going to be able to make much more progress forward because of the damage. But it doesn't really seem to be falling off quite like I perhaps expected him, because that car looked really broken. And we saw the second time he went through Ascari that the car was all over the place. So I thought maybe he had some suspension damage. But it doesn't quite look that way. It looks like the car is at least holding together for now. It might need a bit of duct tape, but it's still going.
This again is the battle for 24th and 25th. That was Felix in the Aston Martin, just making his way past there and getting that moved on. Right at the back of the field, though, this is Filip Vicak in the Silver Racing Team number 57, and that car is looking decidedly second-hand. Like, I'm not sure there's going to be too much scrap value left in that thing.
Sometimes things with scratch become more something we get attached to, I think. So we're going to watch that car, I think, through all this race and root for their success, even with that damage, as some very loud car goes past my house. Apologies if you heard that. But I really want to see those guys, the people that have those mistakes and have those incidents that sometimes are not necessarily their fault, or as the phrase goes, happens. I want to see them do well. I want to see them come back, Igor and that car we just saw with that damage. If they can get it fixed, get a bit of pace going, maybe they can still get something from this race.
Chris McDade, he's come from like 2 miles back and has just done 2 cars in the space of 2 corners there. Where does this pace come from in the Boots and Genon Racing 11 BMW? Next target for him is going to be Jan Beerman. Oh, and there's contact. The 911 of Robin Pagano gets hit from the Aston Martin of Andre Felix. They both live to tell the tale another day. That Ferrari looking very, very twitchy rounds the right-hander there, and giving you a little bit of a moment through the first Lesmo, then through into the second Lesmo on the run down these Serralio straight to Variante Ascari. But I mean, what an opening half hour we've had. I mean, I can't believe all of the action that we've had right now. And looking at the gap to the lead, I'll tell you what, I think Kirill Antonov is going to have to watch himself, because Gregor Schill is going to be right on his tail in about 3 laps' time.
Yeah, it's just going to be never-ending to this whole hour. Well, I say that, ending in an hour. But, for the next hour of this race, we're going to see these battles all the way through, because, as soon as, if we take this little group here, as soon as those 2 Porsches up front get right together and start battling, with only a second behind to the Ferrari, another couple tenths to the 11 BMW, and then only about 2 seconds to the 911 Porsche, as soon as you have that battle, it pushes you back into them. And then another car joins in. And then the battle's bigger, so you get slower. And then another car joins in. It's just never ending. And especially with a track like this, where once you get close to someone, it's very hard to fall back. Through the rest of this race, we're just going to see these big pack battles, and I, for one, can't wait.
There we go. So Gregor Schill gets that moved on over Kirill Antonov for P2. We'll catch back up on that. There you go. That is the Lamborghini desperately trying to catch back up onto Gregor Schill. Got to be honest, I think next person is going to be Bruno Sarai. And I'm wondering if he's either cooked the brakes or cooked the tyres on that one, because Kirill Antonov's starting to go backwards. Another man going backwards is Igor Ogorodnikov in the 560 Mercedes. You saw that just very briefly. He was getting caught right up. Here we go. Brilliant camera work there from Mike Yao to get us back into that one. Yaroslav Honzik and John Monroe. And these Bentleys still nothing to separate them right now.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to change for a while. But if you remember, must have been about 15 minutes ago now, I said that at some point one of them is going to have to decide to fall in line if they want to go forward. Well, that's exactly what has happened. Monroe's just sort of slotting in behind Jardia. They're sort of not necessarily working together, but they're not fighting. There's a tense truce between the Bentleys right now, and it's enabled them to come forward here and fight this damaged Mercedes of Igor Rodnikov, who's just about holding on for now. But I think that for now is not going to be a very big now. I think it's about to end as these Bentleys are starting to shape up for the move, and I think it's going to be a lap or two before they get past. And if they do continue to sort of work together like this and make that progress, I expect this isn't going to be the last person they pass.
Oh, I've got such a bad feeling about this. I've seen too many horror stories to see this go wrong. Oh, there's a little bit of a nibble on the back end from Jaroslav Honzik. John Munro this is what I love and hate about John Munro. He's such a disciplined driver. He didn't want anything to do with that. He could have stuck his nose up inside there, but he's having none of it. He's wanting Jaroslav Honzik to do all of the hard work there, and then he's wanting to try and take the rewards off of it. Have a look for them going through a Ascari in just a second's time. Slightly distracted as well, because picture as well here, we're on the rear wing of Kirill Antonov looking at Bruno Sarai. This is the battle for third and fourth place, ladies and gentlemen, with just 57 minutes left to go in the race. We're very shortly going to have the 10-minute pit window open, and this is going to be it. Igor Ogorodnikov is about to be devoured by possibly two Bentleys around that back straight, but look at the raw power, the raw grunt that the Mercedes has. And look at John Munro trying to have a little run up the inside. Now he's firmly in the slipstream, and this is the closest that John Munro has been to the back of Jaroslav Honzik. And can they get the move done? Because he's got a double done of slipstream right now. John Munro moves to the right-hand side. Can he slingshot himself past? No, because he's going to have Igor Ogorodnikov blocking him on the grass. John Munro, two wheels, thinks better of it, and there goes Jaroslav Honzik, has to dip in, and Igor Ogorodnikov is not having any of it. They're still side by side. This is a match replay of lap one, where Igor Ogorodnikov was trying to hold his own. This is thrilling stuff, ladies and gentlemen. Remember, this is 12th, 13th, 14th right now. I think he is. John Munro's having a lift.
Is this a GT3 race or a NASCAR race? It feels like we're watching Daytona. Are they going to go three wide? I think no, the Bentley doesn't quite get there. They're just going to stay side by side, I think, this whole lap. They love tapping, and that's going to push them a little bit wide. A slight hip check there from Igor is going to give them the position for now. And now we've got the Bentley on the inside. The 214 goes in. Going to get the move done. But no, the outside is the best one to have for the second Lesmo, as you get that run for the straight. And yeah, he's going to hold on for now. But this three-way battle is going to last for a while now. And Igor's got a bit of a resting, a bit of a gap here. He's going to have a bit of patience. And I said maybe the Bentley's going to work together. Well, that's gone out the window. The alliance has been broken. And now we're at war.
Wow, what an amazing race we are having for the lead, 12th place between Igor Ogorodnikov, Jaroslav Honzik and John Munro. This is thrilling stuff. John Munro definitely having a lift there as he was getting held up by Igor Ogorodnikov, and you get the feeling that they're just waiting their breath, they're regrouping, and what is Jaroslav going to have to do to get past that car? Because you said about a lap ago that it's not going to last long. Igor's going to be eventually overtaken. I'll tell you what, he is a master at making that Mercedes as wide as they possibly can come.
Well, he said no. I think is the best thing. He said he doesn't want that to happen, and he's holding on for now. But round two is about to start as Jardia once again gets that run. Now, as you said earlier, the Mercedes has a really nice sort of straight line advantage versus these Bentleys, but the two places really that the Bentleys are going to excel are in the Lesmos and in the parabolic, and if they can use those moments to get a good run, there's a real opportunity here that Jardy can get that round two and maybe get around Igor, but he's definitely not making it easy.
Wow. Right, let's bring it up to speed on some of the other battles going on. Kirill Antonov still ahead in third place of Bruno Sarai, just 0.2 of a second separating them. 8th and 9th place battle still raging. Joe McCauley and Cody Pride have been going hammer and tongs through the entire race, 0.2 between them. This is the battle for third and fourth place there. You can see Kirill Antonov in the Lamborghini just ahead of Bruno Sarai, just being one of the biggest understatements I think I've ever had to use here at Monza. With 54 minutes left to go in the race, and do not adjust your sets. This is going to be what it's like. Get your supply of popcorn, Red Bull, whatever it is that you need to get, because this is going to be 50 minutes left of all of this nail-biting, thrilling, dramatic action is just going to be amplified up to 11. And I may very well actually pass out in the next 20 minutes from all this excitement right now. Now, Kirill Antonov moving over to the left-hand side and signalling to the left-hand side. Oh, look at Yaroslav Honzing side by side, and the tail just flies out there. Around Parabolica, loses the tail end there. That was so lucky. Leaves him very, very vulnerable for John Monroe. They're side by side going into turn one. Yaroslav's going to have the inside. John Monroe's going to try and have the outside. Can they get the move done before turn one's even done? Surely not. Oh, onto the brakes. Wow, there we go. So Bruno Sarai takes P3 and John Monroe. Oh, a little bit of contact there. And you saw John backing off to let Yaroslav take that rightful position. And they go on to fight again. And meanwhile, Igor Ogorodnikov is like, see you boys, I'm away.
Yeah, that's the one thing they did not want to happen. Here's the, not a replay from, this is, I guess technically a replay from Johnny's. It's a bit of a reaction here from what happens. We're gonna see the defensive move here, but obviously in the bottom right corner we can see exactly what happened as a result. So, but yeah, it's a great moment for Igor as he gets a bit of breathing room. He's got 2 seconds now as a result of that. On the Bentleys, and once again I said that they needed to work together to make the progress, and that's not what's happening, and that's why they're not able to make it through. And if you look behind, I mean, the 721 car does have that 10-second time penalty, but these sort of clashes between the two Bentley cars are bringing them into contention, at least for a battle. And they're the kind of cars you do not want to battle, because you know you're not actually racing them, but they will race you because they want to be able to get ahead and pull a 10-second gap. So it is an absolute nightmare if you get stuck in a battle with a car that's got a 10-second penalty, because they're going to fight you as hard as they can, and you don't really want to do that, and you could lose a lot of time.
There's an updated points table then, with Gregor still moving up to second place in the race. That means that it's now a 14-point advantage, as we see. Benedetti has just taken Antonov. Now, we're just hearing in our ears from our producer Michael that it looked like he let him through. And if we go back to last lap as well, on the rundown after the first chicane, he signalled left and let Bruno Sarai through. So is Antonov maybe dealing with some issues? Has he overcooked the tyres? He got a bit of damage there? And he obviously knows he's not able to fight, and he's letting cars through.
I mean, the only other thing I can think of is that because he's a car that's not in the championship contention, that he doesn't want to ruin a championship fight, but then he's letting cars through that are also not in the championship. So the GTWR car is in 15th place at the minute. I mean, I guess they're 60 points behind, but I don't really... I mean, as you said, it does look like he's letting pass, but if your tyres are shot, you're not going to let people pass. You're going to defend hard so that they don't put a gap on you. So it doesn't really make any sense why you'd fall back unless he has some kind of... quote-unquote mechanical issue, like maybe an issue on his rig or something, but it's very confusing. I wonder if it might be a braking issue. If he's having to let people buy in, pull over and let people buy in the heavy braking zones, whether there's something wrong with his brake that's having his race, because that was where he was doing it, right? It was in those big braking zones. He was braking earlier than usual. But yeah, it's very confusing.
Just watching this raging battle right now between Joe McCauley, Cody Pride and Darren King for 8th, 9th and 10th place respectively. The 889 second place in the championship. Joe McCauley doing a sterling job of holding that position right now, but Cody Pride, these two have been going at it for the past 40 minutes. It's been incredible racing, but because they're battling each other now, Darren King in the Fordzilla number 38 in the Ferrari, he comes into the mix as well now. So this is just an absolutely riveting battle that we have got going on. There's a great point actually from Sven R in the chat with Kirill Antonov, possibly a fuel miscalculation. He's maybe having to go lean to try and save a little bit of fuel.
Yeah, but you shouldn't be. You don't need to save fuel in this. There's no reason to do it. I mean, the pit window is open now, and you can easily make 50 minutes in every car here. The only car that really struggles now that I find is the Ferrari Evo, because it has such a small tank compared to the rest of the field. But even that car can do on map 1 on a full tank. It can easily do past 60 minutes here. So I don't really know why I'd want to save fuel. A lot of cars coming in earlier, as we've been put down in our ears, and I'm kind of curious why that is. I think it's probably just to get out of traffic. With Jardier coming in, we saw him battling away with Igor and Monroe in the Bentley. By coming in early, he gets that sort of clean air, and he gets that he stops having to fight them, so maybe he can go for that sort of undercut on them and pull a bit of a gap. But with how close they were on pace, I don't know if that's necessarily going to work.
Yeah, especially because he was in front, and Yeager was about 4 seconds up the road, so he had a couple of seconds in hand. As we see Cody Pride still fighting Joe McCauley. Joe McCauley planting that car right in the middle of the Lexus into the Parabolica. And again, 8 minutes 24 left in the pit window. Then 48 minutes left in the race. It looks like that's going to be Joe McCauley into pit lane. That hands the place to to Cody Pride for the PPR Esports number 69. Then. So we have had, that is Jan Beerman, we've had Florian Becker into pits, we've had Jaroslav Honzig into pits. I'm pretty sure we had Truquet's not been into the pits just yet. Luca Tavanari has been into the pits. McDade's been into the pits as well. We've got Stefan Zero, Joe McCauley, as we said, and Kirill Antonov as well is into the pits and possibly trying to make a resurgent comeback drive. Tim Truquet for Redline Zach Racing here, the 181 Ferrari. Making his way around, and one of the last remaining cars at the back of the grid that haven't pitted yet as Jan Beerman jumps in as well. So Lucas Kreuzer will come out in 9th position. In fact, no, he's going to go further down as well. What do you think is going to be the outcome of these pit stops? Are we expecting to see any undercuts happening here?
With this track, it's not a track that's particularly difficult on the tyres, and you can gain a bit of time by being on that low fuel. So it's not really a track where either the undercut or the overcut necessarily works. What does work is getting out of traffic. If you're stuck around a bunch of cars that are fighting you, and you're losing half a second here, a second there, because you're having to fight them, by coming in at a different time, you stop that from happening for at least a couple of laps, and you can maybe pull a gap to them. So I think some of these cars that are coming in early, if they come out in a relatively clean area of the track, they're going to gain a lot. But you also run that risk of, you come out of the pits and suddenly you're getting lapped. Especially if you're in that midfield, if you come out in the pits, you're going to be, around the front of the grid. So it's a very, I think 50-50, whether you go out, you go in early or you go in late. And it really depends on that sort of context, where you are on the track. As we see Jardia reviewing some of the earlier incidents, he did get caught up, I think, a little bit in the spin that happened in lap 1. He's talking to, obviously we can't hear it.
I'm loving this. I've got to be honest. I'm watching the hand gestures right now and watching the excitement. But what does that tell you? That he's just come out of a 45-minute stint or a 40-minute stint, and it's not the position where he would like it to be. He would like to be up in the top 10. He's been really, really fighting hard. But look at the smile on his face. He is absolutely really pleased, and rightfully so, with an amazing first effort there. But yeah, I can't imagine what's going through his mind as the car decides to volley.
I think the Porsche behind hit them in the rear as well. So yeah, we saw them lose a little bit of time in the pit lane. I assume they got that damage fixed. But yeah, they got a couple love taps from a couple different cars. That's unfortunate for that yellow Ferrari. The BMW pushes him in.
That's a change of underwear moment, isn't it?
But it's like he was perfectly fine coming through, and then he just gets pushed in by the other car. So that's very unfortunate. Actually, I think it was the Ferrari that pushes him. Coming in early, if you're the car with the damage, is definitely the right thing to do, because obviously, especially if you're going to take the damage, you might as well, because you just do it early, you get the damage done, and then your new driver has a fresh car. If you're not going to take the damage, you probably want to go a bit later in the pit stop and just run on that low fuel. You've got slightly older tyres, but that low fuel should give you a bit of a pace advantage.
Yep, for sure. So here we go then. 45 minutes left to go in the race. 4.5 minutes left to go in the pit window. If you like what you're seeing on YouTube tonight, ladies and gentlemen, remember to hit subscribe, hit like, and if you want to go and share us as well on your favourite social media platform, Facebook, Twitter, then that would be wonderful. Now, this is Niels van de Kekkel, and he is coming up to the back. Is that the number 50? I think that's number 57, a Silver Racing Team. It is, because that is Philip Vicak that has had a drive-through for that car. I wonder if they've served that. I'm presuming he's going to have to come in as well. Again, still that big damage, and that's why he got that drive-through on lap 6 for contact with the number 1 car. And that was, of course, the GTWR Simulator giant truck of, I think that was Gianni Monaco that was in that just now. Here is the battle for the provisional lead right now, because these two cars haven't pitted yet. Andrea Benedetti in the GTWR 132 car, the McLaren just behind Bruno Sarai in that Mercedes, and slowly bringing Zahir Essa into the mix as well, Luke.
That just I think it all sets it up for a great finale of the last 40 minutes of this race. You see these, you can sort of see the storylines coming in, of drivers all through the field that are going to be around each other come the end of this race and battling for crucial positions. We have the 39 of Jardia that currently is in third place in the championship, down on the edges of that top 10. Can they salvage enough to put themselves in a good position coming into Kyalami? You have the 888 and the 96 car, two cars that are in championship contention right towards the front. Can they hold on? Can they put themselves in a really strong position coming to the final race? And you have other cars like Joe McCauley taking that 10-second time penalty, a car that really we sort of expected to be in the championship fight, and he is in second place currently. Does that 10-second time penalty put him in a really difficult position in terms of championship points? Time will tell. And we've got those cars going late on that pit stop. Where do they come out? Where does Bruno Sarai and Benedetti come out on this grid? Will they get an overcut? These next 40 minutes are going to be great.
Now, let's have a look at this here, because I'm trying to get my head around this. I'm looking at the timing screens, and has Alaric Ensler in the 888 Ferrari just undercut Tinko van der Velde in the 96? Because the 96 was in the lead when they came into pits, and it's now the 888 Ferrari that's in the lead right now.
I would expect there was a little bit of damage for the 96. We saw some love tapping with a couple other cars, so I think they might have got some damage. So here it was 2 seconds the difference. So either that time comes where you don't necessarily get the car swap correct. Sometimes with the way car swaps worked, for those who watch will know, when you swap drivers, it's very awkward to get the engine fired up and go really quick. You can stall the car very easily. It's something I do a lot. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's a couple of cars that maybe are stalled or didn't quite get off the line get out of the pits as quickly as they might want. And that's when getting that perfect, those extra couple of seconds, especially at a track like this where everyone is so close, it's really crucial to your overall race.
More penalties coming in then. This is the 181 and 7 coming together. Avoidable contact, so that's a 5-second penalty to car 7. That's Luca Tavanari and the Rookie Monsters. That's really not going to help his day any. The 995 and the 11, it's a 15-second penalty for the 11. That was Chris McDade in the Graphics Engineering BMW. We saw that contact earlier on, and that was against the Lamborghini Keck Esports of Eric Neath that he had the contact with. So more penalties being handed out. Vasily Anufriev really had struggled in that first stint, drops him all the way down to first position. And I'm just looking there. So Alaric Ensler then, your new race leader by 1.2 seconds. And Harry Spears in the number 8 Mercedes up into third position. I've got to admit, I'm genuinely so excited now for these next 40 minutes. 30 seconds left in the pit window, but Alaric getting closed on very rapidly. That gap now down to just a second between Alaric Ensler and Tinko van der Velde. So here we go then. Let's have a look at this. Luke, what do you think we could expect from the next 40 minutes?
Chaos, drama.
That's a real balanced opinion there, like.
Bit of everything, as much. I think we're just gonna have battles everywhere. I was saying those gaps. We've got Schumacher and Desprez within half a second. We've got Anufriev here with George Boothby right next to each other. You look further up, you've got Tinko van der Velde, Harry Spears, Alaric Ensler right next to each other. Have they not got it fixed, or is that a graphical glitch? No, I think it's a graphical glitch. It fixes itself. Yeah, so just a very depressed-looking Mercedes as they passed. But yeah, they've got their damage fixed there. I think they were getting lapped actually, so it's not a massive issue. But the mouth is opening and closing on the front of that car right now for us. But even towards the front, there's 2 seconds between four cars there. I mean, you just think about what's going to happen. Anything could happen.
And it very, very likely will. The thing is, as well, they're all doing 1:48s as well, so that time is going to come down very, very rapidly. I think that's also going to mean that Raymond Mooney in the Lamborghini is going to get brought into that battle very quickly as well. You see Thibaut Prost in the 1:32 McLaren, but it is Ensslin from Tinko van der Velde, Harry Spears. That's your 1, 2, 3. Thibaut Prost is about a second behind that, and then Raymond Mooney in the 777 Lamborghini as well. Stretches out a tiny little bit here, but I've got to agree with you, Luke. I think it is going to be absolute bedlam in the next 40 minutes, and I want to know what chat thinks as well. So chat, if you're out there, let us know who you think is going to take the win this evening at round 4 of the SimGrid Sprint Cup Season 2. At the moment it's Alaric Ensslin in the 888 Ferrari, who is looking very, very pretty, but being hunted down by Tinko van der Velde in the 96 Mercedes. And Tinko's had a bit of a mixed season in the Mercedes, but really those are some valuable points tonight.
Yeah, and it doesn't necessarily put them in championship contention, maybe, but at the end of the day, that's not the only thing on the line, really. It's I think if they get stuck behind for the 96 car, if they get stuck behind the 88, the gap's going to be too big. Unless the 88 has a crash, Kielami, then it's going to be a real issue. But if they can get ahead, it's a 10-point swing from being second to first to second. So it's actually really, really important for the 96 car to get that lead back and hold on to it, because if that does happen, it's something they are in championship contention. They still need the 888 to have a sort of mediocre race, but you look back to Barcelona, I say mediocre, 6th place is mediocre. But if the 888 car finishes 6th again at Barcelona and the 96 car is competing for the win, then suddenly they have a genuine chance. That would be enough if they can win this race. So it's there's a couple, I think, storylines to this race that are completely crucial to the overall championship. Joe McCauley's another one, down 11th place, currently 2nd place in the championship with only a 5-point deficit. If it stays the same right now and the 888 wins, then he's going to fall down to, I think, 4th in the championship. If I can do some maths, I think if we can get it up, there we go. No, he's going to stay 3rd, but you see that 29-point gap that will happen in a minute. The 888 car is really going to take a hold of this championship. But if that swap happens with 1st and 2nd, if Joe can get a couple of places back, if he can finish sort of 7th, 8th, which is definitely possible. Well, I say that the 9th and 10th gap's massive. If he can find something, get some extra points, and that swap happens at the top, he still has a chance.
2 little bits to update you on. The battle for the lead is closing down by about 0.4 of a second. 2nd and 3rd are catching to your race leader, Alaric Ensslin. This battle here is Ross McGregor in 10th place. You can see the Bentley just leading this little group. That man in the background is a big danger though. Igor Ogorodnikov, never ever discount him. He's got a lot of pace and he is looking very, very fast indeed. Now back to earlier, because that number 10, the number 214 Bentley that did have John Munro, as we see side by side, Joe McCauley decides to have a little look around the outside of turn 1. A lot of pace there, gives him absolutely no room, gets the move stuck, and Igor Ogorodnikov with a little bit of contact there on Ross McGregor, but they live to tell the tale another day. Ross McGregor manages to get out of that chicane and get going again. However, the point I was going to make there is the 214 was actually trailing the number 39 Jardier community car. Now what has happened after the pit stops? Ross McGregor in the 214 is in 11th place. Valentin Barrier in the 39 community car of Jardier is in 17th position. What has gone wrong there?
Yeah, they had the pit stop that was longer. I would assume from some damage from getting some repairs done. Yeah, it was that lap, if you remember, where Jardy was going through it, we saw those hits. They took that pit stop and it took the damage off. But really, they can go forward here. Yes, they're down in 17th, but you look at the gaps. It's only 0.3 the car in front, half a second, another 0.3. Then you've got a bit of a gap. But they can still salvage at least a top 15 from this. And it might pull them out of championship contention, but at least give them contention for a top 3 overall.
Oh, and Igor Ogorodnikov has got a 5-second penalty. So that is going to pop him down at least 1 position right now, as Pavlis in the 686 Ferrari is going to finish ahead of him. at least at the moment. Lots will change in the 34 minutes left to go. But this is Valentin Barrier you were just talking about there, Luke, in the Jardier Community Team number 39 machine, right on the back of Desprez and Luca Berk there. So 2 positions ripe for the taking right now.
Yeah, and yes, there's that 7-second gap between Schumacher and Paulus. But I mean, you look at, obviously with Igor's penalty, which is actually up to 10 seconds. I'm not exactly sure what occurred to make that happen. But
it's just to give you a very quick update, sorry for jumping in, 10-second penalty to Igor Gorodnikov for not changing driver at the pit stop.
There we go. Yeah, so they, I think they didn't announce they were going to do that to start. We saw, certain like Joe McCauley had the 10-second at the start. And I think you do want it at the start because it means you can serve it in the pit stops and then fight for position. The problem now for Igor is that he's not actually fighting the cars around him for position. So now if he gets stuck behind McGregor and can't make that forward progress, suddenly he's losing, as things stand, he'll be losing 4 or 5 positions. So I'm confused as to why he didn't announce it at the start so that he got the penalty before the start of the race and could serve it in the pit stops. But it's going to harm his race and harm his finishing position right now. But it's good for the 39 car, which is going to at least get 1 position. And I think based on the gaps we're seeing, they're probably going to get more than 1 between now and the end of the race. But they at least get that one for free.
Yep, and we'll see how that pans out over the next 32 3/4 minutes. It's the Sim Grid Sprint Cup Season 2, Round 4, the penultimate round here at Monza. David Christie and Luke Rogers bringing you all of the action. We are nearly 2/3 into this race, and it's still Allar Kenslan, the Ferrari 888 Coach Dave Academy driver, that is currently in the lead, and of course in the lead of the championship as well. And it's going to be a commanding lead that gets taken into Kyalami in 2 weeks' time if this stays as it is. Tinko van der Velde in the Sidemax Motorworks 96 Mercedes in second place. It's toing and froing that gap to the front there between Elmslin and Van der Velde. Harry Spears in the number 8 Mercedes for the number 8 Mercedes of course, Team Fordzilla in third place, 0.7 of a second behind that lead battle as well. Then you've got Raymond Mooney up into fourth place, 2.5 seconds behind that, but still comfortably ahead of Thibaut Prost and Anufriev in the 56 Lamborghini. So half an hour left to go. You get the feeling that the pace is kind of calming down a little bit. And as I say, that Tinko van der Velde takes just half a second out of your race leader. So I'm going to be very, very careful what I say here. A little flash of lights and the reflection on the sunlight here at Monza. I wonder if he's got the toe. He's not anywhere near close enough just yet, Luke, but we're going to have to keep our eye on this battle for the lead.
Yeah, as I've already pointed out, it's completely crucial for the 96's championship hopes that he does make it work. So they have to time it right, because I doubt he's going to be able to pull a gap with the speed that the 888 has shown. It's going to be one of those where you overtake and then the other car tries to get you back. So it might be that he sort of sits here until, maybe the last 2-3 laps. It waits for the perfect opportunity to strike. But the one big problem for that is that the 8 car, that we mentioned a few times, has been a proper contender this race after their win in the at Barcelona last time out. The 8 cars coming into this fight, and they've got within that slipstream now. And if the 96 car can't get ahead of the 888, there's a potential that they'll fall behind the 8 car, which would be an absolute disaster for their championship. So really what the 96 wants now is to set it up where not only do they get the overtake on the 888, but the way they do it also lets the 8 car through. And then they have to hold on to the lead from the 8 car and hope the 888 doesn't come back through. But if they can get that, where they can shuffle the 888 down, that Coach Dave car, it goes from being about a 25-point gap coming into the final race, so only about 10.
Well, we did speak pre-race about Coach Dave Academy and the 888 car showing just how fast those professionally developed sim setups can be. And if you fancy getting yourself some of them and getting onto that sort of pace, head over to Coach Dave Academy and get yourself some of those, like I say, professionally developed sim setups. The work that goes into them behind the scenes is amazing, and they're always updated as well. So, as the tracks evolve, as the cars evolve as well, so will the setups as well. And here you see Allar Kenslan fighting off Tinko van der Velde in that Mercedes. through Parabolica, just under half an hour to go, and we are 2/3 of the way into this race, ladies and gentlemen. A very warm welcome. If you are just joining us, you are very welcome to it indeed. And a beautiful, beautiful shot of Tinko van der Velde crossing the line. Picture in picture here, we see Valentin Barrier in the Aston Martin trying to get any way past Desprez here in that battle for 15th place right now. It's not looking likely. That gap now down to 0.4 of a second between your leader and second place. But somebody that's saying hello as well is Harry Spears. He's now well in that battle. And this is just building up, and you think in the next 5 minutes there's going to be a little lack of patience, I think.
And also that 777 Lamborghini down in 4th place is actually closing the gap as well. So what is currently a sort of three-way sort of train, if they start fighting, then they're going to bring them in. And the 777 is currently the quickest car on track. So there's a real opportunity here that we have a four-way fight here for the win. And again, there's a real opportunity for the 96 car in terms of the championship to really gain from this. But there's also an opportunity where if he can't get past the 888, he's going to fall back and it might actually be the championship decided here. So it's going to be a big 28 minutes for the season for the Sprint Cup. It's going to be a big 28 minutes to decide exactly who's going to be fighting for what and how they need to fight for it coming into the last race.
Well, that will all pan itself out in the next 27 minutes, but it is still Alaric Insland, 33 laps to the good here in the 4th round to the championship, as we see Van der Velde going very, very wide, coming under pressure here from Harry Spears in that Mercedes, and all of that gap, all of that progress that he'd made on Alaric Insland comes undone, and now he's going to have to start driving in his rear view mirrors. A very good evening to Luke Bradford, giving Mike Yao a huge compliment there, saying this is done very, very professional. You're absolutely right, it is, and this is what you can expect here at the Sim Grid. Some beautiful, beautiful productions put together here. 27 minutes left to go, and Insland is away. He's let the touch paper, and that gap looks to be over a second right now. Van der Velde under all sorts of pressure right now from Harry Spears in the number 8 Griffith in the number 18 Fordzilla machine.
And Fordzilla is a team that's really not quite, I think, shown their proper potential through this sort of championship. The 38 and the 8 car, two cars that they've actually won a race, both of them, which is, as someone saying that they're not showing what they're capable of, and then saying they've won a race, two of them in currently a 4-race championship, but they're only down in 6th and 7th, and really they're not in championship contention. And again, not having a race that perhaps they need to win that, as we see a bit of a moment there for 27th place. Obviously, the 8 car still is contention for the win, on the tail end of that front fight. But the fact they had that really bad race at I think which one was it? It was Misano, right, where both cars were involved in incidents. They finished 29th for the 38 and 23rd for the 8 car. They really put themselves out of the fight early on, and we're seeing that the 8 car probably had the potential. They could have been a championship contender if they'd been able to stay out of this. And I think that really just shows in these kind of short format championships how crucial it is for consistency and for safety. It's all well and good winning every race, it's all well and good winning a race, but if you crash out in another one, it's not enough. You look at the top 5, the worst finishing position of the top 5 is a 14th for 4th place, which is the 96 car, and who are they're in 4th purely because of that. The top 3 worst finishing position is 9th. So it's so crucial to have not necessarily wins. You don't necessarily need to win a race to win this championship. You need to be finishing top 10 every race.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's a very, very good point. We see that in the consistency. There's a lot of teams in there, as you said, like Fordzilla, who took the opening win of the season, had that horrible, horrible race to forget after that, finished 5th in the last round out there. And that has nuked their championship. They're way down in 6th place. They can possibly get a couple of places up with tonight's race, but it must leave you so frustrated and leave you thinking, what could have been?
And it's just very weird to say that with 3 races out of the way, the top 5, there's only 1 win between those top 5 cars, and obviously that is the 888, which is looking like it wants to wants to make that 2 wins from 4. But outside of that, you've got Coach Dave Academy 889, the best finish is a 2nd place. Behind that, Jardy Community, best finish 2nd place. Cymax 96, best finish 2nd place. And then 5th place, before the 2 Fordzilla cars that have also won a race. The best finish is 5th place for the NSN Sprint Z Bentley, the 214 car, which you see in 11th place. It's not necessarily about winning races. I mean, maybe if you want to win the championship, you might have to win a race. I think that's something you might be able to say. But if you want to be in contention for the championship coming into the final round, you don't have to have won one of the 4 races preceding it.
You certainly don't, and to prove that point, Luke, I'm just looking at the top 2 in the championship just now. Coach Dave Academy, the 888 Ferrari, 3rd place at Brands, 1st place at Misano, 6th place at Barcelona. Coach Dave Academy 889 in the Lexus, 6th place at Brands Hatch, 3rd place Misano, and 2nd place at Barcelona. The only thing separating them is that the win at Misano for the 888.
And the problem now for Joe is that this 10th place here is going to separate them by a long margin. And I said, if you want to be in contention for the win, you can't finish outside of the top 10. Well, really, it might be more like a top 8 or a top 6, because the fact that the 888 is the only car that is looking set to have 3 podiums from the first 4 races, as things stand, is going to put them in such a commanding position for this championship. And the only way that cars like the 889, cars like the 96, and maybe the 39 car if they're lucky, and they can find a couple points more, the only way that they bring themselves into contention is if the 888 falls down the grid. And it's possible, but they're starting to pull a bit of a gap to the 96 car. We see it's a 2nd now, and that sort of 3-way battle for the front has not necessarily happened just yet, but the 777 is creeping closer, looking like a really fast contender, and maybe could get all the way up there before the end of the race. So I still expect we're going to have some drama at the front, but if that drama doesn't involve the 888 losing a position or 2, we might effectively be seeing the championship over now.
Yeah, for sure, because obviously the gap being as big as it is with the points that are there, a 24, I think that's what it was a 24-point gap going into Kyalami. That is a monstrous gap to take, given that if Joe McCauley again is on his own for the next race, that's another 10-second penalty he's going to get for that, which means that he's fighting this fight with one arm tied behind his back right now.
And it pretty much puts that Ferrari in a position where they basically just have to finish the race. They have to stay out of instances. It doesn't necessarily have to be right towards the front. I think something like a 10th place would be fine at Kyalami to win them the championship. Of course, they want to do better than that. But if it comes to it, and they're, let's say, 6th, 7th position, and they've got a guy behind them that's pushing really hard, they're not in a position where they have to fight, tooth and nail against those kind of drivers coming into Kyalami. And it's going to be the complete opposite for the 889. For the 96 coming into it, they're going to have to win the race. They're going to have to make progress through the field if they don't qualify on pole. And it's going to be just those 2 completely different race strategies, where the 888 is basically surviving, avoiding incidents, avoiding those sort of 50-50 situations where you're relying on another driver to not make a mistake. And the other 2 drivers are not going to have that luxury.
Just looking at Valentin Barrier in the Bentley down in 15th position there, I'm wondering if he's actually going to make that position up. I think the only positions he's going to actually take is 14th, maybe 13th, but we were expecting a strong recovery drive from him, and it's just not happened. That car has been stuck firmly in 15th place.
And that's just what happens when you have this kind of field, with how close qualifying is every time. It's so hard to make time up in the races, because when you do lose those slipstreams, when you do fall back, 5-6 seconds to the car in front of you, it's almost impossible to bring it back. They have to make a mistake, really. That's the only way you can really say it, is they have to make some kind of mistake to bring it back. Especially with the length of this race, with the length of your stints being about 45 minutes. At most, I think a really fast driver can bring about 10-15 seconds back in that time, with the sort of how close this field is. Because a really fast driver compared to a normal driver in here is only about 0.3 a lap faster.
Just watching as we hit the 20-minute mark. Tinko van der Velde coming under increased pressure from Harry Spears. This is on the back of Joe McCauley of the Coach Dave Academy 889 car. That Bentley, that blue and green Bentley behind, is the 214 Bentley of Ross McGregor right now in the NSN Sprint Z. Joe McCauley in that Lexus, the one thing that really stands out to me is when Joe McCauley gets in a straight line, that Lexus absolutely screams.
Well, this is the fastest car in a straight line, I believe, in the sim. And Joe's putting in some really fast times right now, but the big problem for him, there's a 9.5 second gap to the car in front. It's all well and good being fast, but with that much of a gap to the car in front of you, as I said, it's so hard with the length of these stints to pull a 10-15 second gap in a stint. You have to set pretty much qualifying pace to even have a chance.
Just seeing out the corner of my eye there that we're seeing some traffic starting to come into play as well. So Alaric Enslin still in the lead then in the 888 Ferrari, 38 laps in, and we've got 18 minutes left to go. We've got two cars that are fighting tooth and nail just in front of Alaric right now, but Tinko van der Velde is having to hold on right now. He's just 0.4 of a second ahead of Harry Spears, and I've got a horrible feeling that these next 15 minutes are going to go by very, very slowly indeed with what's about to unfold in front of us.
Yeah, it's I think there's a lot of opportunity here for drama still, especially if it's fun. If 96 and the 8 car, if they get together, a car that goes from potentially just about being in championship contention goes to being a very annoyed driver who's getting punted out. So it's a real struggle right now, I think, for this 96 car, where they can't afford to lose the position, but they also can't afford to get involved in an incident. If that happens and they fall back a couple of positions because of it, it's done. We might as well just say the 888 is a champion now. But if it stays like this, it's still possible. And where there's a will, there's a way. If it's possible, it might happen.
We'll certainly see what is going to happen, because this is looking very, very dicey. You can see Alaric Enslin just exiting your picture at the bottom there. He's coming across two cars at the back. I will ID them for you in just a second. But we're currently watching Tinko van der Velde throwing everything that he possibly can. That is the 349 Porsche. That is James de Havilland and Alexis Pirali in the NCL Motorsport machine. And the 999 that's there as well, that's Yannick Hamer in the Keck Esports number 5. Again, I'm very curious to see this, because Harry Spears always tends to take that wide line around the outside of Parabolica, and it loses him at what looks like about 3/4 of a second, Luke.
Yeah, but we saw earlier, if you remember, there was that, who was it? There was the Bentley and the Mercedes that were side by side. Through there, and that outside line, yes, you lose a lot of time through the corner, but you gain a lot of time back on the straight because you're able to carry more speed. So it is something that, it's a bit of a 50-50 as we see some traffic here. That's a really unfortunate. Yeah, Enslin got through and Tinko's stuck, and he's going to split the Porsches, I think. Does he go through the middle? Does he risk it? He's going to go through, and I think they're going to let him past. But that's such an unfortunate moment of these two drivers. They get stuck in the middle of two guys that are driving. There's actually a bit of damage on that car. I don't know if they've fixed that now, when that's just a graphical sort of reminder. But Spears sneaks through as well, yeah. And we said that Havilland actually made a position up in this little battle there by following Spears through. But suddenly a battle that was super close on track has got split up by traffic, and that's the nature of these kind of races. It's traffic management is a big part of what makes you successful in these moments. There was a 3-wide moment there and a bit of a rub between the Porsches. It could have got a lot worse.
A little bit close for my liking. Really, really a bit close. But there you go, up the inside for Nick Babin. Just throws it up with absolutely no regard whatsoever. Lovely, lovely stuff. Nick Babin takes that position back then, 26th. And here is the battle for 22nd and 23rd. Then Yannick Hamer on the inside there with Luca Tavanari as well. And look at the back, Diego Lima is up there as well. What? Around the outside? Are you kidding me? What a move by the Porsche there. Yannick Hamer, textbook stuff there on the entry to turn 1. Dips it on the inside, thinks better of it, takes to the outside of turn 1 and takes that position. Take a bow. That was wonderful, wonderful stuff from the Keck Esports number 5 machine. Side by side again, Nick Babin, and in fact, no, that's James de Havilland, and is that Froome? No, it's not. That's 5th place. Excuse me. Sorry. I was getting all excited there. That is, of course, Thibaut Prost, one of the lap-up cars, just making his way around. This battle isn't over, though, for 23rd place right now. That is, of course, Yannick Hamer. And now, has he just made another place? He has. He's got past Luca Tavanari. So what an amazing drive this is from Yannick Hamer. Tavanari, look, started in 10th position. So I think he's going straight to bed after this one tonight.
bit of work for him. Going backwards, he's trying his hardest not to finish in the top 20 right now. I don't know if it's necessarily been... obviously, I think Tavanari's in the car for the whole thing, right? So he got that 10-second penalty, which has pushed him back a bit. But a lot of those positions he's lost has just been pace. And he had a good qualifying session, but I wonder if maybe his setup's a bit harsh on the tyres, or he's just not quite got that car working as he wants it. And you see he lost 4 seconds the previous lap. And again, we see him being one of those drivers that's taking that sort of wide, it's almost like an it's like the opposite of an apex. It's in the middle of the corner instead of getting tight like we see a lot of cars do in G3. He's running wide and parabolic, and I wonder if he's just losing a bit of time doing that.
That just on the inside of your shot there is Vasily Anufriev and George Boothby. George Boothby on to the Parabolica, had a little look, not going to work, but that gap has been coming down and down and down. And despite some early pace from Vasily Anufriev and looking very, very strong indeed, he has fallen back like a stone. So I do wonder if there is any damage on that one. Ross McGregor fighting it out with Joe McCauley, and Joe McCauley cannot in any way afford to lose this place right now to Ross McGregor in the 214 NSN Sprint Z Bentley. Ross has looked so calm and composed, and I wonder if this is just twisting the screw and trying to really push that pressure on him.
And we've spoken a lot about the championship implications, and what is this going to do for X team's championship hopes? And the 889 being down in 10th has probably put themselves out of contention, but first place is not the only place in the championship. There's still a lot of bragging rights on offer, to finish other places, and these two are right next to each other in a championship. I believe the 214 is in 5th place, 5th place in the championship right now, and the 889 is in 2nd. But it was only an 18-point gap coming into this. So if the 214 can get ahead, he's going to close that gap by a couple of points. He's going to bring it a little bit closer, and yes, they might be out of contention for the championship win, but they could still finish 2nd or 3rd easily.
Yeah, points make prizes, and those prizes are going to be handed out in 2 weeks' time, ladies and gentlemen. Don't forget, this is the penultimate round. You can join us for the final round live at Kyalami, same time in 2 weeks' time at around about 7:30, where we will do this all over again. But we've got just over 10 minutes left to go in tonight's race. Alaric Henslin now opened up about a 1.5 gap over Tinko van der Velde, who is having to fight and claw onto that second place for all he's got by 0.4 of a second. He lost 0.3 that last sector from Harry Spears there in 3rd place. This is back to George Boothby, and I'm pretty sure I just saw a car going into the pits there, but this is Boothby who is trying to catch up to Vasily Anufriev. That was a drive-through for de Havilland. Michael has reliably informed me in my ear. So, 10 minutes. What are your predictions, Luke? Because they've all been thrown out the window so far.
Well, this one's the 96 and the 8 is starting to come back closer. We saw them lose that gap. The 96 got ahead because of the traffic, but now they're in a bit of clean air. There is a car ahead. I'm not quite sure. Is that the 888 that's just up the road? Or is that a lap?
I think it is.
Yeah. But, there was that sort of 2.5 gap between these two, and it's gone again. So Harry Spears is definitely showing that he's the faster of the two drivers right now. Whether he can make an overtake work, I'm not sure, but I expect these last 10 minutes it's going to get nice and feisty between these two. And that 777, we said they were looking like one of the fastest cars on the grid. We said they were coming forward, and once again, they're the fastest car on track. So they're slowly bringing that gap down. And there's a real opportunity if these two Mercedes start battling, that the Lamborghini comes in and steals the show.
Well, buckle up, ladies and gentlemen. 10 minutes left to go in the penultimate race of the season here for the Sprint Cup Season 2 here at the SimGrid. Good evening to Alex Goldschmidt joining us in chat, our brand new addition to the SimGrid team. Looking forward to working with him on a couple of events in the near future. But in the meantime, Harry Spears just dropping back a little bit from Tinko van der Velde. That gap now looks to be about 0.5 of a second. He's definitely dropping back towards Raymond Mooney. Raymond Mooney now could steal that last position on the podium.
And I think he's a real contender for it. He's looked so fast over his stint compared to the drivers around him. It's been quite an impressive sort of 40 minutes from him, as he's consistently been the fastest driver on track, and he's pulled a couple of seconds gap down. You know, we said that it's very hard to be a really fast driver in this group because everyone is so close, and you know, even if you're the fastest guy on track, you're only going to be a tenth or two faster than the guys around you. But across a 40-minute stint, if the gap's only a couple of seconds, you know, when you are that fast driver, and if you can keep with the consistency that we've seen from Mooney so far, it will bring you into contention. And we see every lap or so he's pulling another tenth, he's getting closer and closer. And there's a real opportunity that at least he will get to the back of the 8 car.
So here we go then. This is the final throws of the race. Let's see how this is all going to pan out. Alara Kensland still that 1.7 gap. I've got to be honest, he's looked very, very comfortable with that gap, because Tinko van der Velde has had so much to deal with Harry Spears, and I'm sure on his timing screen, his little timing delta, he's going to see that Raymond Mooney has been bringing that gap down, and it is now firmly a 3-car battle for second place. I just don't know which way this is going to go, as we see a 15-second penalty for the number 686 car. That is for an incident between cars 560 and 686 on lap 42. The 560 is, of course, Igor Ogorodnikov, and the 686 is that car of Damian Paulus in the Carbon Esports. So contact there, avoidable contact, and that is the pair of them now going to have quite a heavy penalty, and I've got to be honest, I think that's going to drop them out of the top 15. Here's a replay.
Unfortunately, here we're going to see I think an overtake as they come down to turn 1. So the Mercedes coming to the inside here. It's always a bit 50-50 where you want to be into turn 1, but that's a bit of a hip check there by the 99 car. It went a little bit deep, and actually the number keeps the spot. It's always a bit nervous coming to turn 1. It's quite a tight and constricted chicane, and yeah, as we see there, a little bit of contact there to push him back, and Joe McCauley is under pressure here from the 214, finally making it work. He's going to go on the inside. We're going to see the exact same as what we just saw, I think, but Joe just about outbreaks him. Can he get in time? No, he's going to go deep. Is he going to have to give up the position? I wonder if the stewards are going to look at that, if he's deemed to have gained an advantage by that, because I think you could argue the only reason he stopped it from being a side-by-side into the corner was by going a bit deep there. 214 is still going to have another opportunity with 6 minutes left to go, but that's going to be a moment of contention, I think.
I think you're absolutely right on that one. I think your gut tells you the same thing as I saw on that entry to turn 1, just overcooked it on the brakes for Joe McCauley, and had to pull it off into the corner and jump over the curbs there. So race control going to be looking at that one very, very closely indeed. Oh, and a moment for Harry Spears, and that hands third place then to Raymond Mooney. They're side by side down the back straight, but I think the Lambo's going to have the drive here on the run down to the Parabolica. It was a poor exit from Harry Spears in the Mercedes through the final chicane there, but it's going to be around the inside for Harry Spears, side by side, and Raymond Mooney going to have to tuck in the slipstream, and it's going to be on the run down to the first corner. Well, you wanted action, Luke. Here we go, 5 minutes left to go, and it is all starting to kick off now.
It would have worked there for Mooney if he'd just stayed around the outside, but he had a little bit of a slide mid-corner. I think he almost lost the rear and had to lose a little bit of time. He's still going to get close to the Mercedes. He's going to try and outbrake him. There's a bit of a hip check there from the 8 car. The 777 gets to the inside. There's another little love tap there, but for now Spears holds on. But he had that little slide that really arrested his momentum, and whilst he was able to use the slipstream to still put up a bit of a fight, it really stopped him from just getting it done. 5 minutes to go, he still can do it, but you know who's loving this? The 96 car suddenly has a bit of breathing room as these two fight, and suddenly is looking really good for his second place, which still puts him in contention. Yes, it's going to be difficult to catch the 888, but in terms of the championship, that's great for the 96 car.
Yeah, that's a huge sigh of relief for Tinko van der Velde, and a big moment there for Vasily Onufriev trying to hold on with everything but the kitchen sink over George Boothby in that 99 Mercedes, and looking so strong. The Mercedes really dominant in this race tonight with 4 of them in the top 10. It's a well-suited car with a lot of power. And now the pressure is being ramped up on the like and subscribe YouTube team. 56th car of Vasily Onufriev. He is having to soak up everything that Boothby is thrown at him right now. And have a look in the background, because it's still only 4 minutes left to go. But that is, of course, the number 69 of Adam Chmielewski, who was sharing the car with Cody Pride. So side by side then for Boothby and Onufriev, it's going to be a run down to the Parabolica. Can Boothby do it around the outside? It's going to be Onufriev trying to take the brakes on the inside. He can't do it though. Onufriev really compromises himself there. Boothby gets the longer run out the outside, and I think he's got more speed. This is now going to be on the run down to turn 1, Luke.
Yeah, it's one of those things where the Mercedes should be so strong with that straight line speed. He's going to pull all the way back compared to the Lamborghini, but can he outbrake him? Can he even get the run to the inside? He's going to go for it. Can he outbrake him? Can he hold on? Is he going to go too deep? Just about gets it work, but there is a bit of contact, and the 56 is forced to go through and forced to take the position off track, and I wonder if he's going to get it back or not, because I think the Mercedes going deep there was really the sort of instigator for it. More drama. I said there's going to be some stewards consideration towards the end of this with those sort of incidents, and there's another one that we can add to the pile.
Nah, that's again, I'm going to have to disagree on that one. That's not what I saw from that moment. It looked like it was up the inside for Boothby, and Onufriev tried to turn in, couldn't get the car turned in because that Mercedes was there, and then just had to abandon it and go across the track. Race control will be the ones to adjudicate that one, and that is why we don't get the important jobs, isn't it, Luke?
Yeah, that's why we get to the nice and cushy one, where we just got to sit here and have a bit of fun watching it and ramble nonsense for 90 minutes. Or nonsense in my case, at least. You're a bit more rational. But anyway, get back to P3. There's going to be another battle here for P3. Mooney's going to go again around the outside. Can he make it work this time? He's got it done on the straight. But can he get to the inside? Can he get to that preferred line? Well, he just about gets there without a bit of contact there. But he's going to be slightly compromised. And also that straight line grunt from the 8 car should make another battle coming into turn 1. It's going to be round 2, but this time it's the other way around as the Lamborghini's in front.
What has happened to Tinko van der Velde there though? Because that last lap from Tinko van der Velde, 148.7, those two, Mooney for instance, doing a 148.0, side by side though, down in towards turn 1, and Harry Spears is really trying to catch up. Oh, a little bit of a love tap there, no harm, no foul, it's fine. But Raymond Mooney gets away, and now his next target is Tinko van der Velde, just 0.7 of a second up the road. 1 minute 40 left on the clock here. I have absolutely no doubt the pace that he's doing right now, he could easily catch up to Tinko van der Velde by the end of the lap. This is the battle for 10th place then, as Joe McCauley valiantly holding on with that Lexus to Ross McGregor in the NSN Sprint Racing Z car, the Bentley. And these two have just been the most awesome door-to-door racing, and it's been so respectful as well. Back to the battle for 3rd place, and you can see 2nd place Tinko van der Velde. Contact! Ross McGregor up the inside, and that is going to take the position. It forces Joe McCauley out wide. He's got it done with a minute left to go. Huge moment, and that is possibly a pivotal moment for the championship here, Luke.
And now also the 96 car is stuck behind some traffic with the BMW not getting out of the way before the Ascari chicane. If he now pulls over, yeah, he's going to let the Mercedes by, I think, but it's given another couple of tenths, I think, for Mooney to catch up to. Is he going to get stuck behind the BMW as well? No, I think he's actually going to get a nice bit of slipstream here from the BMW. They shouldn't hold him up through this corner. So this bit of slipstream, there's going to be one more lap here as they cross the line, I believe. Is it going to be 2? I think there's only going to be one more lap. So this might be his final opportunity to get it done as they cross the line with 1 to go. It's a 6/10 gap, but he does have that slipstream. It's going to be so close between whether he can pull this off.
Wow, so many different battles going on. We will do our best to keep you updated on that as well. There you go, confirmation that the Coach Dave Academy car goes down even further on 146 points. That gap between first and second, though, still 24 points right now. What a battle we've got going on the picture right now, because Boothby ahead of was Anufriev, but Anufriev has been absolutely mugged from Chulewski there in the Mercedes. What a battle we have got going on right now. Raymond Mooney again in picture. You can see, look at that gap, it's now down to just 2/3 of a second, and Tinko van der Velde is going to have to hold on for dear life right now. Amazing stuff. We are going to keep an eye on that. We've got the battle for 7th, 8th and 9th on the main picture as well. And of course your race leader Alaric Enslin is coming up through towards Variante Ascari for the final time. So as soon as he gets onto the back straight, we'll keep an eye on him as well. We hope you've enjoyed this race, my goodness me, because it's not over yet. There you go, Alaric Enslin, your race leader, comes out of Variante Ascari for the final time. Behind him, this is all kicking off here because Tinko van der Velde just 0.4 of a second ahead of Raymond Mooney. It's going to be down into the Parabolica for the final time of Askin. Picture in picture, you can see in the small picture, is Alaric Enslin, your race leader. I think it's going to be a 1-2-3 as it is right now. But there we go. Alaric Enslin comes across the line to win race number 4 here for the Sprint Cup Season 2. It's going to be 2nd place for Tinko van der Velde, 3rd place for Raymond Mooney, 4th place for Harry Spears, 5th place goes to Thibaut Prost. It's going to be 6th place for George Boothby, 7th place there for the number 69 of Adam Chmielewski, and then 8th place for Vasily Anufriev. 9th place is going to go to the number 38 of Sean Arnold for the Fordzilla team. Wow. 9th place for Ross McGregor, getting that place on the last lap, or second to last lap, for the 2:14 NSN sprint team. Amazing determination and battling going on between him and Joe McCauley there. It's Sean Arnold drops down to 11th place. It's Martin Schumacher in 12th. And then in 13 is going to be Daniel Paulus. But look, that really did have everything we could possibly want in a race there.
I said there was going to be a bit of drama, a bit of chaos at the end. Boy, did it deliver. We had so many moments. We still got another battle here, down for 23rd place. I think with that 4/10 gap, it's so hard to pull that back with this last area of the track. And the Porsche had a little bit of a wobble there for Ascari, and the Aston will, I think, get to him coming into that final braking zone. He's going to get to the outside at least. But we've said already that it's very hard to hold it around the outside. You know, you get that run towards the end of the straight, but as long as the Porsche hold on here, it's going to be, I think, very hard. But the Aston actually comes back on him. It's going to be side by side for the position to end the race. And they can make contact. And I think that's actually going to give it to the Porsche. That bit of contact arrests the momentum of the Aston Martin, and the Porsche holds on in the final corner. What a move. What a bit of defensive driving there.
Wow, I just had a quick second there to have a slurp of water and try and catch my breath. What an amazing round 4 we've had at the Sprint Cup here at Monza. The sim grid. I need to go and take a quick 10-second lie down. We're going to take a very short commercial break, and we'll be back with all the driver interviews. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, as we pick through the bones and piece together what was round 4 of the Sprint Cup here at Monza. David Christie, and it's farewell to Luke Rogers. You're away now, aren't you?
Yeah, but not before I have to say that credit to all those drivers. What was a pretty awesome race. I think the best of the season so far. And whilst the 888 has maybe taken a bit of a stranglehold in this championship, the battle for 2nd and 3rd place coming towards the end of the season is going to be awesome, and I think Kian Army is going to be one intense race.
Well, very, very much looking forward to it. Thank you so much, Luke Rogers, for joining us tonight, and we'll see you 2 weeks' time.
Good night.
There we go then. Luke is off to go and work his OBS magic, but we've got drivers starting to come in. And first team we've got in is the NSN Sprint Racing team of John Munro and Ross McGregor. So let's bring John and Ross in. Gentlemen, that was a bit awesome. And firstly, Ross, I've got to come to you. That move at the end there.
Yep. Yeah, it's basically I was following Macaulay for the whole second stint. So he started off a bit quicker, and then it became apparent he was a bit slower in pace overall. But just there was never a good opportunity, and Alex is so quick, like off the corners. It was a struggle. But eventually, towards the end of the stint, don't know if his tyres were going off or something, but I just had a couple more opportunities. And he defended pretty hard, I have to say. But in the end, yeah, I sent it down the inside, and he tried to block it at the last minute, but it never worked. So, yep, happy with that.
And John, with yourself at the first stint of the race, you were involved in a cracking battle with Jaroslav Honzik, aka Jardier. Tell us about that.
Yeah, it was a great battle, wasn't it? It was a little bit frustrating because I think we did have a bit better pace. Jardy had quite a bit of damage. We had a little bit of damage from the first lap incident, but Jardy had a bit more damage, and he was struggling a wee bit. But I figured that we'd probably lose more time battling away than we would if I just followed him. So I kind of basically just followed the slipstream for the first 25 minutes of the race. But yeah, eventually we caught up to the Mercedes that was having some issues up ahead, and three of us had an amazing scrap for a few laps. It was really, really good close racing. I think there was only one little bit of contact, which was just like a front to back on the exit of a corner, because there was steering was fully locked and everything, couldn't avoid it. But generally it was super, super clean and very, very close as well. I was trying so hard not to hit the back of them, because there were so many times where the two of them would go in side by side, and I just had to back right off and try and get a better exit. And every time I managed to get the exit, Jardier would just cover me off, or I just wouldn't quite get the braking right to the next corner. So yeah, it was really good fun. At the end of the day, we could have maybe got up the road a little bit further, but I really enjoyed myself.
Now, that moment where you're fighting it out with Jardier, but you're also having Igor Ogorodnikov, how hard were you having to lift off through that battle?
We were. I mean, what I realised is once Jardier pitted, the next lap or so, I gained 3/10 in the first two corners alone, just in the braking zone, compared to my fastest lap of the race. So I reckon we were probably losing 3/10 a lap or something throughout a lot of it. But then in the actual battle, it was a good 2 seconds per lap, because you're having to back right off in the braking zone. The two of them will go side by side, and there's no room for side by side through the chicanes at Monza. So what it means is both cars are hugely compromised, and then you just have nowhere to go until after the exit. So you've got to really, really back off in the entry, let them go side by side, and you have to wait so much so that you can nail the throttle at the right point to kind of catch them just as the road opens up. So yeah, it's a good second in the brakes, another half second through the corner, and then you're okay on the exit. But yeah, I mean, I don't mind these things. When you have a really good fun battle, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. And I think Ross did such a good job to get the position in the end. The other guys were a long way up the road, so I think in the grand scheme of things, there wasn't too much difference could have been made.
Well, massive, massive implications going into the final round at Kyalami. What is your thoughts for that track? Do you both like it?
I've literally not set a lap at Kyalami in ACC ever, so
that's fine. Yeah, that'll bode well then.
Yeah, if I start practicing half an hour before, should be fine. I've no idea. I don't know if the Bentley's good there or bad or what the script is. So just try our best. I think the championship's like a long shot anyway. So, but if we can consolidate like top 5, I think that's like a decent effort. Obviously, we'd like to be top Bentley as well, but that means beating Jardier, which we've done the past 2 races. So yeah, I guess that's probably the aim for the final round.
Oh, them's fighting words. Well, John Munro, Ross McGregor, thank you very much for joining us tonight, and we'll see you again in 2 weeks' time.
Cheers, David.
There we go. So that is the NSN Racing team setting down the gauntlet, and we'll have to bring in one half of the other team, the Jardier Community Team Racing, Valentin Barrier. Valentin, good evening. That was a ding-dong race that you had towards the end with Ross there.
Sorry?
I was saying that was an amazing race that you had with Ross McGregor towards the end.
Ross McGregor? Sorry.
Never mind, never mind. Anyway, talk us through the race, the 214 Bentley that was fighting with you throughout the race.
Well, yeah, we had a really good fight. Jody actually had a really good fight on the first stint with him, but then obviously we lost a couple of positions. We lost a top 10 position, probably a P10 position on the pit stop because we had some contacts on the first lap. So 12 seconds of damage to repair on the pit stop, so lots of time lost. That's a P13 in the end, so not good, but not so bad considering that we started P19 or P18.
Now going into tonight, you were third in the championship. What's your thoughts going ahead to Kyalami?
Well, that's for sure. This P13 is for sure not ideal. So for Kyalami, we hope that the car is gonna be better. We should be in a better position than we were tonight on Monza, that's for sure. So we're gonna have to be as quick as possible, trying to salvage as many points as we can, but it's for sure, unless anything crazy happens, it's for sure done for us for the championship, for P1 in championship.
Well, best of luck for Kyalami, Valentin, and here's hoping you can have a strong finish in 2 weeks' time.
Thank you, bye-bye.
There we go, poor Valentin Barrier being completely thrown under the bus by myself there, of course. It wasn't him, it was Joe Macaulay that Ross McGregor was fighting out towards the end with there, so I do apologise to Valentin. Without further ado though, let's go and have a chat to your race winners. Alaric Hensland and Gregor Schill are standing by to have a chat with us. Alaric and Gregor, congratulations on the race win, guys. That was a difficult race for you two.
Oh my
yes.
this race. I mean, like, we already saw, like, in qualifying, I was so angry, that I didn't get the lap together because I had like 2 times still and I could easily get the pole. But then, starting from P7 and climbing up the ladder, the field, I mean, it felt incredible,
Alaric, for yourself, after that pit stop when you came out and it all transpired that you were in first place, how happy were you when second and third place started fighting?
Oh, I didn't even know. I mean, Gregor didn't tell me. I didn't even have my mirrors on, so I had no clues. I was just keeping my eyes forward, just racing.
And a 24-point gap in the championship now, if my mathematics are correct. That is a strong lead going into Kyalami.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, 24 points. I mean, not sure how many positions that are, like, definitely 5 or 6, but we still, want to not, sit on this result. We still want to improve ourselves because there are still some areas where we could improve, also driving-wise, I think. And yeah, we want to put our driving also on the next step in Kyalami and show everybody what we are capable of again.
And just talking about Kyalami, is that a track that you both like, or?
If you want to start.
Yeah, I mean, the home track, I can't say no. I've driven it, or I've been around a couple of times already. So yeah, I'm always excited for a Kyalami race.
Yeah, and also same with me. Like, Kyalami is one of my favorite tracks because it has such a unique flow and makes so much fun. The Ferrari will not be the strongest car there. The Audis and Lambos and maybe also the Bentleys will have, like, better cars there, but still, I think if we do our best, we can still maybe compete with them.
Well, it's a very strong position to be in, gents, and best luck 2 weeks' time at Kyalami.
Yeah, thank you.
Cheers. Thanks a lot.
Alaric Hensland there and Gregor Schill. We've got time for one more person to have a chat with, and it's the teammate of Tinko van der Velde in the 96 Mercedes, Lucas Kreuzer. And Lucas, good evening. And do you have any nails left after that second stint from Tinko?
Actually, no. I was quite terrified, like, for the entire stint. Also, of fuel consumption, everything was horrible. The last stint was quite nerve-wracking.
The first stint that you did was a wild race, Lucas. You were certainly throwing it about as much as you could. Did you expect to get a second place tonight?
I know that we have good pace at Monza, and the car was really good, and also qualifying showed that we had the pace to compete. And the setup felt amazing, so I think it was we expected that we might get a good result at Monza. Of course, second place is always a really nice thing to have in a championship. And in general, yeah, the race was quite a wild ride from start to finish. It was one hell of a race.
And what I want to know is, were you on voice chat with Tinko for that last stint? And if so, what were the things that were being said between the two of you?
We are always in voice chat when we are driving these races. And we are normally quite used to not talking too much when the other one drives, just so that he can concentrate. The thing that we talked most about in the last stint was fuel consumption, because we were running low on fuel basically for the entire time. We had to go to map 2 towards the end of the stint, and I think we finished with like 1.2 liters or something. That was really, really close, and that was basically the main topic for the last stint. Just told him to keep calm, keep the car on track, don't worry about Harry Spears too much, just keep on driving. Yeah, that was basically the main thing that we talked about in the last stint.
2 weeks to go until the final round at Kyalami. Is that a track that you both enjoy, or are you looking forward to it, or is it a bit of a bogey track?
We both have done quite a lot of racing at Kyalami, and I think it's one of the best GT tracks that we have. The weather is always quite interesting at Kyalami, and I've never driven the new Mercedes around Kyalami. So I will get on with testing quite early, I think, and try to get used to it. But yeah, of course, I'm always excited for Kyalami. I love the track. I've done quite a lot of races there already. So I'm happy that we have that track on the calendar for the Sprint Cup.
Excellent stuff. Well, thank you very much for joining us tonight, Lucas, and best of luck for the final round.
Yep, thank you.
Take care. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. That was Lucas Kreuzer, our final interviewee of tonight, and what a round we have had tonight here at Monza. I'm going to have to go and have a little lie down, because that was just quite simply breathtaking. Huge thank you to my co-commentator tonight, Luke Rogers. Huge thank you to the amazing production team behind the scenes, Michael Hamlet on the info and on the penalties as always, and Mike Yao from Simpler Race providing the amazing audio-visual experience that you guys know and love here at the SimGrid. Huge thank you to our partners as well at CoachDaveAcademy.com. Head over there to get some of the fastest pro setups, and Thrustmaster.com as well to get some quality, reliable sim racing hardware. These are some of the events. If you head over to the simgrid.com, you can see we've got Super Saturday coming up on Saturday, January the 23rd. We've also got our scintillating multi-class event at Spa. Super Saturday, though, is going to be an amazing day out at the races. 3 separate races, all broadcast here on the SimGrid. Get yourselves signed up for that, and we look forward to chatting about you and saying how awesome you are on the stream. But I think that's it. We've got more female racers coming up again on Monday. That is round 4 from Silverstone. Make sure you check that out. We've also got next month the Endurance Cup at Paul Ricard. I'm going to be doing that one. Woohoo! And the Sprint Cup, 2 weeks' time for the finale at Kyalami. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and you don't miss out. On behalf of myself, Dave Christie, Luke Rogers, and the entire production team here at SimGrid, have a wonderful night. Keep yourself safe, and we will see you next time.